Can you hear me? Looks like it. Okay, good. Let me switch my scenes here. Oh, I don't have my background on. Hold on, guys. Okay. Oh. I guess I didn't put it on my computer yet. Oops. Oop, not that. That one. Done. Send. Okay. There. Now we have a background. Yeah, thanks. It's okay. It's tight. Very tight. I'm glad to be in a house, though. For a long time, we lived in apartments, and so it's nice to be in a house. Yeah. So it is a little crowded over there. Okay. So I'm here talking about animals are sentient, asking what morally justifies you using them. Chip, I just saw you were the first one in here. It's good to see you. You guys can hear. Yeah, okay, okay. I'm trying to mess. I didn't know that if you hit the bottom button, it'll mute the mic. So I'm going to be trying to remember to do that because every time I do it on OBS, I feel like it mutes everyone. So it's good to see you. Yeah. Just give some time so people can come in. I have some resources I'll go over real quick. So I've got documentaries here. You can find these on YouTube for free. Dominion, Dairy is Scary. Dominion is a little longer, but it's because it goes over all the animals and just their standard practices and what those labels that you look for, what they mean. Dairy is Scary is more focused on dairy and what the cows go through. It's much shorter, but you know it's also kind of a quick dot to draw, or two dots to draw together to realize all animals deserve autonomy. So, and then if you just don't know where to start, like you want to live vegan and you're just concerned about your diet, you don't know how to eat differently, that's understandable. The nutritionfacts.org has what's called Dailey Dozen. You can also just Google vegan Dailey Dozen. And it has just a checklist. So you can go to your store and be like, oh, this fits like my protein needs and my, not really, you're not by macro, micro, whatever. It's by plants like beans, seitan, those will be your protein. 5 servings of vegetables, 3 servings of fruit, stuff like that. Really easy, simple. It's good to see you guys too. Yes, Sponge Studio. So our plants, they have reactions to their environment. Yes, they do react to their environment, but they are not sentient. They don't have a brain or a central nervous system. They're just existing and bumping around. What about the fact that English dairy is often much more human and they don't hate it? So the issue with dairy is that cows must be impregnated. Who decides if and when she gets pregnant? The cow or the farmer? And cows overproduce milk, but they don't get to stay with their babies. So we take as much of it as we can. They have to have their baby stolen. So not only are they forced to be impregnated, they also have their baby stolen. On top of that, I mean, the whole issue is that you're breeding someone into existence for you to use, instead of seeing them as the sentient beings that they are. Hey, Chip. Hey.
Hello.
How's it going?
Pretty good. I'm using the iPad now to see how that goes.
Oh,
I've
nice.
never
Okay,
used that.
cool.
Yeah. Yeah, because it's so hot in here in the Netherlands, and yeah, I'm in a different room where I have air conditioning.
Good. It's important to be comfortable because that's why, like, if I'm too warm, it translates into how I speak to people. So,
I get it. I get
yeah,
it. Yeah.
but yeah.
What do you think will be the excuse that most people will give today?
I don't know. I've been getting crop dust a lot, so it's hard to think that something else will take its place. But also religion. I feel like crop dust and religion are the two. Yeah. I'm
Yeah,
cons-
I also think crop dust. Yeah, that's a good
Do
one.
you? I
Yeah.
am worried because I got into a tussle with a couple of vegans about freeganism. I hope that doesn't come up really. But if it does, we'll tackle it anyway because I brought it up. It probably will now. But anyway,
Nice. Nice.
I'm so glad you're here, Chip. I appreciate you being here.
Yeah, I always enjoy it.
Shall we start pulling up some victims?
Let's do it.
All right. Appreciate you guys already requesting, and just understand I need to only talk to 18 plus. I TikTok rules. I can't talk to minors, and also, it just you should ask your parents. Why is it, not safe to talk to strangers on the internet? All right. Big Tooth Gary. Hey, are you over 18?
Yes.
Okay, right on. So animals are sentient. What morally justifies using them? Or you using them?
Oh, the Bible said it's okay.
Okay, so in your religion, do you have to use animals?
No, we don't have to, but could I
Okay,
ask a follow-up question since I answered yours?
I guess, yeah.
Um, why is it okay to eat plant life even though it's a living creature just because they don't care?
Plants don't have a brain or a central nervous system, so they don't
So their
want.
life don't so their life doesn't matter then because they don't know.
It's not that their life doesn't matter, it's that they don't have a preference
Oh,
and
so
they
since
don't
they don't have a
suffer.
preference, it's okay to take their life.
Well, I can
Right.
explain it to you if you
I
want.
get it.
So,
No, I get
mo
it. Since they don't
morality,
care, it's okay to take their life. You agree it's a life. It's not about life or death. You don't care because they don't care. Got
yeah,
it.
yeah. So
All
it's
right,
not
good
about
day.
life, but let me explain very simple to you. Maybe you're interested. Oh, you're not interested. You just want to say some nonsense and then move on.
Yeah.
Okay, never mind.
That was almost crop deaths and religion.
I'm keeping score, by the
Oh,
way.
that's a good idea, actually. That is a really good idea. Keep track. Yes. Plant S and religion. Yeah, interesting. I like the idea of keeping track because I am curious what happens more. Hey, Lori, are you over 18?
Hey, yeah, I'm 31. I was just going to jump up. I didn't know if you were only looking for opposition right now.
Are you vegan?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. What made you go vegan?
Believe it or not, I started off about 2 years back trolling vegan labs.
So you were a troll and then you became vegan? What made you go
Yeah.
vegan?
Funny enough, actually, the first step was watching Dominion.
Yeah, it's pretty moving.
That started the wheel, and then the more I read into the philosophical and beliefs behind it, it described me to a T. And then the plant-based diet was Oh, sorry. Yeah, it was 80% what I was eating already, and the plant-based stuff is, I can't say the word, but effing awesome. So I have
Well,
to be
awesome.
careful. I got pretty fat. But anyway, I'll jump down if you're only looking for ops, though.
Yeah, I am looking for ops, but I actually will follow you. You know, I like to know who all the vegans are around, so I appreciate you still coming up here and like, you know, telling me who you are. Oops,
Yeah,
I'm
definitely.
doing
Nice
this
to
on the
meet you.
desktop, so I'm not as good at.
Uh, Before you go, Lori, can I ask you what is veganism to you? I'm just curious because everybody has a different interpretation of it.
Of course. For me, it's the philosophical understanding that you use as minimal exploitation of animals as humanly possible.
That's a pretty good definition. Yeah, I appreciate it.
Um, yeah, definitely. I'll give you a follow as well, Chip. I like the accent, if nothing else. So,
Thank you.
Okay,
I didn't
thank you.
even introduce him. I'm so sorry, Chip. Chip is this fan. Like
Unacceptable.
everyone, right? Everyone should look up Chip on YouTube. Go follow him on TikTok because we need to get him to go live on TikTok. Great outreacher. I love watching him go live. So if we can get you on this platform, like let's do it.
definitely. Anyway,
Yeah.
have a great day, guys, and thanks
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Lori. Appreciate you
Yeah.
coming up. Thank you. Yes. Well, it's always good to see the vegans out there. I always love seeing new vegans. I wasn't able to follow you, though, so if you give me a follow, I'll follow you after the live. Usually I can click on you,
It,
but it's not letting me. I don't know.
it's
So def-
interesting that he was a troll and he became vegan.
I know, and
So that the
honestly,
trolls hanging around means that it works. So.
yeah, exactly. I kind of feel when someone says they were a troll, it kind of makes it go, oh, are you gonna be a troll again? Are you warning me in a way? So I'm glad you asked him what veganism was because I was also a little sus. I was like, are you actually vegan? Or are you going to say something? Some people will waste my time and then they'll drop like some sad, terrible thing to say. And it like totally is.
Always, yeah.
Yeah, no, I was worried that was about to happen. So I'm really glad that he's actually vegan.
I get it.
Yeah. Let's see. I don't actually have any requests. Anybody, you can request to come up. You just got to be over 18.
Yeah, come on, Larry Wayne. I see you asking about unborn babies. I don't know what that has to do with sentient beings or innocent sentient beings like animals. But there's people love a red herring, don't they?
They do. Whatever distracts from their own responsibilities. Clomo.
Do you
Oh,
agree that all animals deserve to be free?
were you reading
Does
a comment?
everybody agree?
Okay,
No, I'm just like asking people. I'm trying to get them
got
to
it.
come. Like, do you agree that the only way to respect animals is to be vegan? If you disagree, come on up. Let's have a conversation.
Hi, Freesia. Oh, hey. Mawaya.
Hello?
Hi. Are you over 18?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Animals are sentient. What morally justifies you using them?
Um, well, the other brother said he said something that made me think. He said that I can't respect the animal if I eat them. Like I have to be a vegan in order to respect animals. Is
Yeah.
that correct?
Well, I'll ask you, like,
Okay, go.
how can you use someone without their consent and still respect them?
I don't think they care. I think they're just animals. I mean, I
Okay,
think you should treat animals good
the
though.
question I asked you though is, how can you respect someone while using them without their consent?
But they can't consent. It's an animal.
Okay, so then my follow-up question is lack of consent equal to consent?
I think it lacks the sufficient intelligence to require consent because
If someone
it's
lacks the
the responsibility.
intelligence, if someone
Wait,
lacks the
can I just finish? I'm
intelligence,
sorry. Can I finish? It's the responsibilities on the human to be moral because his intelligence gives them the choice, right, to treat an animal correctly or not, because we're much more intelligent,
I agree with you
right?
to
So
an
Wait,
extent,
so
not the intelligence. Go
dominance
ahead,
doesn't
Chip.
equate to oppression, right?
Go ahead, Chip.
so does that mean that if we're more intelligent, we're allowed to do whatever we want to them?
It's not that. Again, dominance does not equate to oppression necessarily. Again,
So what is oppression to you? What does oppression mean?
oppression is to harm the individual. I'm saying that we're not harming these individuals because they're not sentient.
You think
As
animals
long
are
as you don't torture them.
harmed?
If you torture an animal, yeah, of course it's harmful.
So wait a minute, do you think cutting their throat is not harming them?
I wouldn't say cutting their throat's a good method. It's not an ethical method. But then you would say no method's ethical. I know you're just going to say that, obviously, but
what
I would say
about
that
the
in my
exploiting
paradigm,
them?
at least, brother, in my
What
paradigm, at least, there's methods that are ethical and methods that are not, because there's methods that involve less pain, right?
so wait, you're saying that it's ethical to take somebody's life if they don't feel pain?
Somebody implies a person, a human being, a sentient being.
Yeah, a sentient being, and animals are sentient, yes, and they are
No,
individuals.
they're
They are
not
subjects of
sentient.
their own universe.
That's fine, but that's not a prerequisite for sentience. Now,
Wait a minute. What would
for a being
convince
to
you
be
that they
truly
are
sentient.
sentient?
Sorry?
What would convince you that animals are sentient? Because we have evidence for that, but apparently
Okay.
nothing can convince you.
What is sentience, first of all? What is sentience?
The capability for a subjective experience filled with both positive and negative valence emotions.
That's not a prerequisite to be intelligent enough to be able to consent. Because
Sentience does not imply intelligence.
Hold on one second.
There are human beings who are
Because
intellectually
the
challenged,
animal
and
is
they're
incapable
both
of
sentient but
consenting.
not intelligent.
You see how you don't let me speak? So because the animal is incapable of consenting, therefore it doesn't have to consent in order to use it, because we're
Therefore,
animals.
it's okay to do whatever you want to them. So if a human being cannot
and what?
consent, you can do whatever you want to
Is
them, right?
dominance the same as oppression,
If you
or is
dominance, and
dominance
if you
rather
do
a broader
something,
term?
are you asking questions where you want me to answer, or are you asking questions just to hear yourself
But
ask questions?
that's the first time. Because first of all, you're steering away from my answer. You did that 5 times now, sir. You're
I was going
kind
to
of
reply
understand
just
that that's
now,
how we
but
do
it
things
seems
here.
like now
I see
it seems
it
like now you want to complain
now.
about the
I'm
fact
go.
that
I was
I want to answer your
again. I'm
question.
extending
So
my
can I answer
question.
your question, or are you going to complain some more?
I was simply extending my question as you've done. Actually,
Okay, so let
you
me answer
rambled
your
before I
question
finished.
then. Okay, so if somebody cannot consent, then you have
See how dishonest you are?
you have to look after their interest. Okay, so if somebody cannot consent, you look after their interest, not after your own. It is immoral to do something to somebody if you're doing it for your own interest and if they cannot consent. Take for instance a child. If you force a child into labor, it is immoral because they cannot consent and it is not for their interest. However, if you force a child to go to school, it is not immoral because you are forcing them for their interest. Do you understand the difference?
Okay, so why do I have canines?
Wait. Before we go to why do you have canines, do you agree with the fact that it is oppressive to
Your analogy
force
was
consent from
no,
somebody
that's
who cannot give
disanalogous.
consent for your own interest?
You made an analogy that was disanalogous ultimately, because you gave a child, which is a human being. Again, you anthropomorphize animals.
What is the morally significant
It's like
difference between
burdening
a
empathy to
child
the
and an
point where you don't
animal
even
that
eat meat,
justifies the
brother.
difference in
Your
treatment?
canines are useless because your burdening empathy causes you to anthropomorphize animals to an extent which is unnecessary. Now, I'm not advocating for the.
Okay.
What is the
You're,
morally
See
significant
how you made me
difference?
soy boy?
Yeah, sure. Thank you for calling me a soy boy. Soy
Intellectual
boy means I'm
discourse does not
compassionate
involve
and
muting,
smart.
brother.
Thank you.
But yeah, have a nice
So,
day.
I
Thank you for
muted
your
what
you.
is the
patience.
morally
Clear.
significant difference between a human being and an animal? Oh, okay. So he just didn't want to have conversations. He just wanted to say things.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, he was not respecting you. He just wanted to hear himself talk. That was
I don't mind,
frustrating.
by the way. I don't really
Okay.
mind. This is
Okay.
for me they're kind of funny when they get so upset and they think
Well,
that it's not oppression because they're animals.
I
Sure.
know. So I want to let you know you should have access to the mod tools. So if you do want to mute them, I won't do it anymore. I'll allow you to choose if you want to do that to them. But you should have all the powers. And same thing to my mods in the chat. You should also you should have your powers now.
Thank you. I'm
Yeah.
gonna call this one canines. Shall we call it canines or what should we call this one?
Ooh, that's true. Yeah, I think canines is what his ultimate claim
Well,
was.
that's
I
a
didn't really hear another
the
claim.
animals are not sentient, he said.
Oh, not sentient. That one gets me. I'm like, ugh. Like you think
I
a
guess he
plant
didn't
and
know. Yeah, I guess he didn't know the difference between sentience and intelligence.
yeah, maybe that yeah, he was confusing those. I'm gonna put a little sub mark in there. Intel sentience. Okay. Yeah, exactly. Breaches in there. Also, if ever someone requests, you should be also to be able to pull someone up. So if I don't notice, you're welcome to do that. So I'll bring up M Miller. They should be down in like the guest management down here for you, Chip.
Sure, thank you.
Miller, are you over 18?
Good morning.
Great.
Yes.
Right on. Animals
How
are
are you
sentient.
guys?
I'm doing well. Animals are sentient. What morally justifies you using them?
I think it's I guess morally I think it's kind of subjective. I just think it's how do you put it? It's like the circle of life. I think, there's I think they should be treated ethically. I mean, if they're farmed and stuff like that. That also kind of tapers out into, I guess, ecosystems, as well as like if you're raising cattle and or if you're going to go a vegan diet and you're spraying pesticides and altering the natural order of things like the bugs, the insects,
I
the
think
other
I got a little
animals.
confused. I'm a little confused. What does this
I'm
have to
sorry.
do with what morally justifies you using them? I just want
Well,
to make
what
sure we're
morally
staying on track.
justifies them, that's okay. The track is that everything consumes something to survive, right? And the idea that to consume meat is not ethically, morally wrong because at being omnivores and consuming one thing versus another. For instance, I'll use someone on, let's say, somebody on dialysis, right? Who needs to boost the hemoglobins and also needs to consume iron and stuff like that. Though I know
Okay, so
plant-based you can,
what we're
but
talking about is just you, not other people. I just want to know about why
okay,
you aren't
okay.
vegan. Yeah. What's holding you back specifically?
Well, I'm not solely vegan because I understand that it alters ecosystems. I understand that I live in a
Wait, wait.
rural
Okay. Let's
community
stop
where
there.
people
Let's stop
farm.
there. Let's start,
Okay.
or at least let's list them out. Ecosystems. Okay, so for you specifically,
Yes.
you're worried about veganism
Yes.
hurting ecosystems. Okay, and your next one?
Correct. Also, I guess, and I guess more or less the ethical treatment of the animals. That's one of the things. I
Ethical,
don't
like
see.
as in their welfare.
Yes, yes,
So you care about what the animal goes through.
yes. I do.
Hold on a second.
I don't think. I'm sorry.
No, it's fine. Hold on. My partner's computer is playing music.
That's okay. I can converse with you in the meanwhile.
I'm sorry.
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. I can.
Okay, nice. So ecosystems, you mentioned ecosystems. I'll tackle that.
Yes.
Tell me
Sorry.
for a second with ecosystems.
Yes.
What do you think animals are fed?
Well, I think animals. Let's take bees. Okay.
No. Let's
By
take the cows,
right.
chickens, pigs. What are they fed?
Okay. They're generally fed corn or different types of grains that do not require, that takes up much space to grow. It takes resources such as water. They
Do
also
those do
don't,
those
they,
destroy
do-
ecosystems?
yes, because they're self pollinating and therefore bees and other pollinating insects. They also require let's say protection, whether it's poisons. I don't know if you can say poisons or stuff, but it takes stuff in which also diminishes rodent populations, where other animals need those to actually coexist and stuff. It also affects amphibians, the natural
So, so, so,
soil with
so,
metrifieds
so,
and stuff. I'm sorry.
Sure, we don't need to list all of them. We don't need to list all of them. We get you. But
Yeah, no
so
worries.
so if you find out that most of the crops that are grown for food are grown
Right.
for animal feed, does that not mean that anything that crop agriculture destroys is monumentally increased in animal agriculture, since animal agriculture inherently depends on crop agriculture?
Um, I mean, it does. It helps the animals that we consume, but not the ones that are the natural order that would produce those the vegetation or those things. Does that make sense? I don't know the big words. I'm sorry. I'm just trying
I
to
don't know
paint it.
exactly what you mean. So what do you mean the animals
Well,
that so we grow corn and soy
right,
and alfalfa
right,
to feed all of these animals. We use
right.
more
But
land
also,
in the process than if we
yes,
had grown soy or corn for humans only. We would have used less
right.
land and we would have destroyed less ecosystems. So therefore, a plant-based diet is clearly better for ecosystems.
No,
We even
no.
have studies for that.
Well, actually, like I said, I live in a rural community, and you cannot grow corn or grain in a thing because it ruins the soil. You have to change your crop every other year so that whether it's soy, you can grow corn so many years before you, and it's not edible corn, it's field corn where humans themselves cannot consume. Um, and
But on that land, you can grow food for humans. It's not about, sure, the food that you grow for animals
right,
maybe is not edible by humans. That's okay. But on
right.
that specific land, you could grow food for humans, and you would be using less land in the process, and thus there would be less ecosystem damage.
Right. If the plants were natural plants and not self-pollinating plants, I mean, the farmers here can plant seeds for different companies, and they sprout and they grow, and they only are watered 2 times in the season, and they grow full
Okay, okay. I
without.
feel like
I'm sorry.
I,
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. I feel like we're getting nowhere. But if I do you know who the IPCC is?
No, sir, I don't. I'm sorry.
So the IPCC is the Intergovernmental Panel for Climate Change. Is the largest organization on the planet who contains
Yes.
uh, the biggest experts in environment. They
Okay.
make reports every single year, and I think the seventh report actually mentions the environmental impact of diets, because I'm assuming you're thinking about diets, and
Yes.
actually a plant-based diet
Hmm.
reduces the land usage by 75%. It reduces eutrophication. I don't know the exact percentages, but it's better on all accounts: water use, land use, eutrophication, biodiversity loss, everything. The plant-based diet is monumentally better. And that's yet again because if you consider the fact that we have to grow plants for animals, that means farming animals is highly inefficient.
Well, I totally agree with the plant based diet. Okay, as
Yeah.
myself, somebody who I found I'm just going to give a thing. I received a kidney transplant, and part of my to help get my body working properly, I went to more of a plant based diet. I still consume meat, not as much, and it was much better on my kidney and my new kidney replacement. Um, but I just see that it's still like a lot of holes in there. Whereas like the rivers and stuff with algae blooms from the runoff from the fertilizations that they use, the fertilizers, it hits the water and the
Okay,
waters turn
Miller,
green.
Miller, Miller.
Yes, ma'am.
I need you to
Yes.
understand that your argument still doesn't make sense because we dedicate most of our crops to feeding the animals that you use. Animals eat more than humans do. Okay,
Yes,
so
I understand
so
that,
the
but I
issues with fertilizer, with runoff, with all these issues with crops are amplified by using animals. So your argument is really for veganism. We could reduce our land
my
use by 75%. Did you hear what I just said? What did I just say?
yes, ma'am.
I repeat it.
I heard
Repeat
what you
it.
just said. My
Repeat
argument
it.
is my
Repeat
argument.
it.
What you're
No. You need to repeat it. You're not listening. You're literally just sitting there waiting to just talk. If you want to have a conversation, we can continue. But I need to know that you're
Ma'am, I'm
listening.
trying
What did
to,
I just say?
but you're
What
cutting
did I
me
just
off.
What did I just say? What did I just say? How much land would we reduce by? Just answer that.
Listen, I understand. It will
Just say 75%. Okay?
Yay, the boot button. Why
Yeah.
is like that?
We were trying to be patient with him, but he just kept going
Yeah.
on about environment. And it's like, Chip already debunked all of this for you.
Right.
Yeah, it doesn't. Plus, it doesn't matter at the end of the day, does
It
it? Like,
doesn't. If it were
It is
worse
so-
for the environment, still going to advocate for veganism. The
Exactly.
victim is what matters. And I did want to ask him, but I'm just frustrated he's not listening, so I felt like it was pointless. Just that, would you accept environmental arguments to your autonomy and freedom? I'm going to enslave you so that you don't produce as much waste anymore, right?
Right.
It's wrong because you are your own person. You want your freedom and autonomy. All sentient beings want that. And that's what we were trying to get to, but you kept wanting to focus on runoff and crops. So anyway, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I just
yeah.
if he's listening now in the chat, I wanted him to hear that at least. Go ahead,
Hopefully he
Lloyd.
did.
Yeah.
No, I was just saying hopefully he did.
All right, I'm going to bring up the next guy. Okay.
Hello?
Hey, Bertram, are you
Yeah,
over
right.
18?
Yes.
Cool. So animals are sentient. What morally justifies you using them?
Right. I just want to say, us humans are like modernized apex predators. We are like on the top of the food chain. We use these animals for our food in any way, shape, or form. We can kill and eat anything we want. Like, do you really think other animals are sentient to, like, you know, like predators and all that? Like, it's not like the way that animals out there kill other animals
All right,
is what
Bertram,
we do.
Bertram, I'm only asking why you aren't vegan.
Well, vegan meat is like an essential thing to humans. Humans need meat. Have you seen some of the stale vegans out there? Or like
Okay, so are you
vegan
saying,
products?
hold on. So are you saying that you are not vegan because you can't get all your needed nutrition?
Basically, yes.
Okay, so if I could give you information that says otherwise, would you then go vegan?
No, as I believe meat is essential towards human's body or human.
So what did I just say?
Say that again.
Okay, so
Oh,
what I
if you provided me with a plant that had like the same like essential
not a
needs,
plan.
and, like,
I could give you resources to go look into to find out if what I'm suggesting is something you could do. I have resources for you that show you can thrive using plants for your diet, and you're saying that you're worried that you won't get your nutrition. And my question is, if I can provide you the evidence that you can, would you then go vegan?
no, it's
Okay,
it's
so
like
it's not nutrition. What is it that's keeping you from not wanting to exploit animals anymore? Do you know what veganism means?
yes,
Okay, tell me what you think veganism means.
not eating any sort of animal products like even milk or eggs, for example.
So that is what vegans do, but that's not what veganism is. Veganism is essentially a principled stance against the exploitation of sentient beings, like animals
Yeah.
and you. So I don't think that if you can avoid demanding someone's exploitation, I think that you should. If you can avoid it, you should. You shouldn't use others without their consent.
It's just if us humans weren't doing this to animals, it's not like it's going to be any different from them in the nature. Like they get killed
Okay,
either
so
way.
let's talk about that for a second. Animals in nature are not to the same standard as us, just like children are not to the same standard as you and I, right? You wouldn't hold a child to the same standard if they did something immoral.
But as I said earlier, like we're the modernized apex predators. Like
Do
we
you
can
agree
kill-
with me that we don't hold children to the same level as
Yes.
cognitive? All right, so it's because we recognize, right? They don't fully understand morality. They're what we call moral patients. So they might know what morality is somewhat, but they don't fully understand it. And they can do things that are immoral. Animals are very much the same, and they're surviving a harsh environment. So it's not only do they not really understand, they're also just doing what was taught to them so that they can survive where they live. Right? So what we are, though, is moral agents. You and I have the time and capacity to weigh out what's right and wrong. We understand there's complexities to morality. So we have more responsibility, as you said, to be responsible and moral, right? To not take advantage of those that are vulnerable to us.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's just what veganism is.
Oh.
Yeah.
All right, well, fair enough. I'm kind of bailing around, but yeah, I enjoy this argument.
Just check out
Wait, can I ask you a question before you
Yeah,
go?
go ahead, Chip. Take a screenshot too, though. Take a screenshot. Go ahead, Chip.
So, would you pay for exploitation of dogs?
No, because dogs are modernized to be as pets, but still can be eaten by, like, I don't know, in certain other countries.
But say I bring dogs to life for the sole purpose of exploiting them. Would you then pay for them?
What do you mean by exploiting? As in, like,
As in bringing them to life to use them for whatever I want, and then killing them when I can no longer use them.
No, that's wrong.
Okay, so why is it wrong to do to a dog, but okay to do to a cow?
Because cows are like the primary source of food towards us as humans.
Well, no, we chose that, didn't we? We chose that, didn't we? There's no reason why a cow would be a primary source of food for us. We gave them that label. We can easily give that label to dogs also, can't we?
Yeah, but originally we were born as predators. Us humans are predators.
But that doesn't go against the idea of us giving the same label to dogs. We can be predators and give the same label to dogs, can't we?
I guess.
So why do you have such a problem with giving that label to dogs?
Because it's obviously it's our human decision. Like, as dogs, pet, like anything can be a pet. But it's just a human's decision to, like, kill and eat.
But these dogs wouldn't be pets. I think I'm clear on that one, right? These dogs would be specifically bred to be food.
I'm not saying it's, like, wrong to eat dogs. Like, in some certain countries, like, they still eat dogs, and it's nothing. Like, they're all animals. They're all food towards us.
So you would eat dogs?
To try, yeah. Like, if I was on holiday or something, like.
Okay, so what you're saying is that to try. Okay, would you try humans?
No.
Okay, so that's your limit. Why would you try? Why would you not try humans, but you would try any other animal?
Because that's cannibalism.
And that's carnism. Giving it a name doesn't mean anything. So why? I'll ask you again. Why would you try dogs but not humans?
Because they're an animal. Like, they're a source of food towards. Like, people find it wrong to eat them. Like, I don't know, England, America. I don't know.
But humans are also animals. Humans are animals, and there's places on this planet where they eat humans. So then you should also have the same curiosity and say, well, it's okay to eat humans.
Well, it does come to religion, and it's mainly just cannibalistic tribes out there that are still primal in terms of their mindset. It's like, what's that? It's
That
like
primal. Why is it wrong?
Why is it not? Well, in humans.
Yeah. Why is that wrong?
Because it's identified as, like, obviously cannibalism.
But why is cannibalism bad then? We end up in the same question. It's not about naming, like, listen, we're not asking questions here. Like, we all know that society thinks these animals are made for food, these animals are made for pets, eating humans is bad. We all know that society places these labels. We're trying to get you to think a little bit on why that is. So why is it that you think that it's okay to place labels on others and oppress them based on the labels that you gave them? Take, for instance, if you find a cow, you seem to think it's okay to oppress them because they were born a cow. If you find a dog, you seem to think it's wrong to oppress them because they're a dog. And if they're a human, unless you're on vacation, if they're a human being, then it's wrong to oppress them in any situation. Yet none of them chose to be born that species. So I'm trying to understand, where is this logic where that makes it okay to oppress one or the other? Like, where is that coming from?
Well, it's obviously back in like old times, or whatever. The primary source of humans' food was obviously meat. Like it's
But for
obviously
you, how does that matter for you? You don't live in the old times. You have alternatives today.
I personally still eat meat as it's got like essential nutrients that I do not believe that plants contain.
What
Like
essential
beef, for
nutrients
example.
does meat have that you can't get from plants?
Like for example, have you seen some of the state like of vegans out there? Like how they look? They look like 40 at the age of 20. Like
Brother,
with how many
brother, brother, I, brother, I deadlift, brother. I deadlifted 180 kg today, and I weigh 80 kilograms. That's 2 point something my weight. I'm actually trying to deadlift less because I have some issues with the muscle, but that's a thing that how I was born with, weird physiognomy. But anyway, you can definitely, the fact that some vegans choose to eat less and be thin means nothing. I have friends who are vegan and are fat. I have friends who are vegan and are fit, and I have friends who are vegan and are thin. If you know anything about nutrition, you know that the fact that the only way to gain weight is by eating more calories. The source of the calories doesn't matter. Do you think that you can eat how much plant food you want without getting fat?
No, you can still get fat. Well,
So
it's not
then
just fat, like
what's the
sugars and
statement?
carbs.
So then what is the statement exactly? Because then you clearly understand that nutrition isn't a simple, the source of the nutrition doesn't matter. When it reaches your stomach, all the amino acids from protein break down. Your body breaks them down. All the micro and macronutrients are broken down and they get used as your body needs. So all you have to do is make sure you get a good macronutrient profile from each of the meals that you're eating. And that's considerably not difficult. And knowing that there's so much violence and exploitation behind you choosing animal products, why would you ever choose why would you ever choose that? I don't get it.
Well, animals are here for like a reason. Like, for
Profit.
example, one of the people said like, how can a
Profit.
tiger be a vegan? Like the same
Profit.
character as us. We're modernized apex predators. We can kill.
No. Animals are here for profit. Animals are here. You pay for animal products because corporations told you that you need it, because corporations want you to buy their products, and you bought into it without actually questioning it. And we're trying to erase that programming that you have right now. And you are just trying to defend the corporations that are trying to get money off of you. We're not trying to get money off of you. We're trying to look after the animals while at the same time trying to make you realize that what you're supporting is oppressive, violent, and bad. And you shouldn't be doing it.
Why are like 10 grapes more expensive than like 2 big pork chop like lanes like steaks?
Well, tofu is not.
Everyone else.
Well, beans, lentils, chickpeas, tofu, all of these are actually considerably cheaper than what you mentioned. So if you're going to choose one product and compare it with another, at least choose the same class of product, because grapes are not a source of protein for you. Grapes are a source of carbohydrates for you.
It was just an example.
Yeah, but like you can, if I put an example like that, I can ask you why is a steak so much more expensive than the rice? I can get 1 kilogram of rice for a tenth of the price of a steak. Come on, let's make proper examples.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, man. Like, listen. I'm not gonna pester you anymore. But I think you should you should watch the documentary Dominion that is on the screen right here, because you might not be okay with you might not be okay with what you're paying for, and
it's just the unfortunate truth that us humans are like, as I said, I'm not gonna repeat it, but like, as I said, we're obviously the top of the food chain and all that. Like, it's the unfortunate truth. But
we're not top of the food chain.
Live.
Biologically, we are not top of the food chain. Our trophic level is actually quite middle low, and modernized. So, what do you think of the food chain is? Since you mentioned we're on top of it.
What do you mean? As in, like, what the food chain actually is? Like,
yeah, what is the purpose of the food chain? You mentioned it, and now you're saying we're on top of it. What is it?
as in we can like digest, kill whatever, like any animal really.
No. So a food chain is a concept that explains how energy flows in an ecosystem. Essentially, what it is saying is that plants get their energy from the sun. That's why when you see it, it's like a pyramid. Plants get their energy from the sun. They're at the base. They get the most energy. The animals that eat the plants get get less energy than what the plants get. The animals that eat those animals get even less. And as you go climb to the top, as you say, there's so little energy that those animals get, and there's just so much energy loss in the process. That's what a food chain describes. But let's imagine that a food chain is, as you say, describes power. Do you think that just because we have power means we should have the right to oppress innocent animals?
A specific amount, yes, enough to feed it like as many people as we can.
So do you think so you think might makes right? Because we have power, we should be allowed to do whatever we want.
Well, yeah, because we're humans.
Okay, so you're in favor
We're the most intelligent animals.
authoritarian regimes, oppressing women because men have power over women. Shall we say more? What else? Enslavement, because enslavement happened because we had power, right? So all of these oppressive systems came for the same reason, because we thought because we have power, we have the right to do whatever we want to them. Is that really what you think?
No, not anything to do with like whatever how you say like rape and all that, like torturing towards women. It's all come to like laws and everything.
But the laws were created because we thought it's wrong to oppress somebody simply because we have power. Power does not like if I have power over you and I'm in a place where I could oppress you and there would be no law, it would still be wrong for me to oppress you even if I had power over you.
Naturally, yes.
So then it's not
right to do it.
So it's the same thing for animals. It's not like just because we have power over them, all of a sudden makes it right to abuse our power over them. Don't you remember Spider-Man? With great power comes great responsibility.
To be honest, I only watched the first one, but I can't.
Well, it is in the first one, yeah.
I watched when I was like 10, but
Anyway, maybe watch this documentary just to see if you're really okay with it.
no,
That's it.
I did. As I say, it's like the harsh reality for us humans to actually survive on it.
So you already watched Dominion. You know that it is optional for you, and you still want to continue oppressing animals.
Yeah, obviously I found it disgusting, but as I already said, like it's unfortunate, but it's the way that life is for us humans.
No, it isn't. It isn't. You choose for it to be that way. That's not how life is for me. I don't pay for the animals to go into slaughterhouses. I thrive on a plant-based diet, and I don't pay for that. You can do the same. You don't have to be part of it. You don't have to support that. If you see it as violent and sad and whatever you called it, you don't have to be paying for it.
Yeah, it all really just comes down to personal preference. Like it's like the Pride members, like they're shoving into people's faces, same as these vegans.
No,
don't shove into people's faces if they don't want to.
No, please don't mention that. You know nothing about Pride. You know nothing about this. You know nothing about what those people are happy. Dude, Pride. I'm not gonna go into this because this isn't my life, but you know, it's don't make
You can
remarks.
talk about. You're welcome to talk about Pride. I'm totally
Okay,
for
I'll
Pride.
just tell you real quick. We had an event here in Amsterdam. They celebrated 750 years, and they blocked off a highway, and people were allowed to go freely on the highway to walk. It was pretty cool, and there were actually three events where gay people were about to get beaten up by people who like you have a problem with them. So
I wouldn't say I have
yeah.
a problem with like gays.
Well, you do. You clearly do. No, you
it's just
clearly
wants to
do.
make it all about themselves, shoving into people's faces, making.
No. You clearly do have a problem with them. I'm sorry.
Don't be sorry. I don't know. When someone says I don't care about people, that's kind of like that's the line we're drawing here. I don't want I don't know. I don't like it when people are saying some person is not worth respecting. That's, I don't know. It's sad. So is my background crooked for everyone?
What do you mean by crooked? It looks good to me.
Somebody's telling me that, or a bunch of people are saying it's like off. Oh yeah, it's Lori, but not just you, Lori. There's other people
okay,
too.
yeah, it's just you can't see Dominion and Darius Scary.
Okay.
They're kind of maybe you can make the
edit.
typing a little smaller because it's more to the.
I'm sorry, guys. Let's see if let's see if this works.
This
This looks so weird. Let's see.
I know it just you just can't see Dominion, the whole name of Dominion or Darius Scary. Maybe it's coming up. I don't know. Can you make the background a little tinier or something?
Yeah, I was gonna
Kind of more towards the middle. I know you're not trying to cover your picture, but
I think. Oh, is that the same one? This is not save. Export. That's why. Okay. Sorry, guys. Just trying to get that other picture up there. Oh, that's not it either.
Do you know who Hannah Banana is?
I don't. Are they vegan? It does say we're friends.
Oh, okay. I thought maybe you knew who they were. Okay, no.
It does say we're friends, but you can bring. Do you want to bring someone up while I fix the background? I do feel bad, like holding everything up right now.
Sure.
Okay.
Sure. Lori, do you want to start the next conversation? I'll just bring somebody up. Do you want to start the next one?
Oh, sure. Well, go ahead. Go ahead. I'm sick right now, but I'll try and jump in when I can.
I'm so sorry you're sick.
Yeah. That's okay. I haven't been sick in years. This is the first time I've been sick.
First time. Well, hopefully you get over it.
Yeah, my son had the flu, so now I got it.
Hey, Hexen.
Yeah, I'll help along.
So, Hexen, why are you not vegan? What do you agree that animals are sentient?
I can have an agreement that any animals are sentient, correct?
So you agree that animals are sentient?
Yes.
So then what morally justifies you using them for optional products?
Okay, so you've now introduced morals. Let me just ask real quick. Morality in itself is tied to philosophy. If I go to speak on about morality, are you going to go, oh, you're a Philbro? Are you going to Philbro me out?
I don't know what you mean.
Right. Most conversations that I have, people who have or talk within philosophy language tend to not like that. So I'm asking if you're going to just kick me. I want to.
I don't have any
respectful on this panel.
I don't have any philosophical knowledge, if that's what you're saying, or my philosophical language is very limited. I just want to talk. I mean, we all know what moral means. We all know morality is the purpose of distinguishing right from wrong, and we all know that moral means that it is right, and immoral means that it is wrong. So, let's talk about what do you think morally justifies using animals for optional products?
Well, the moral justification would just be simply that they are amoral agents, which they are incapable of holding within morality. There would be no right or wrong distinction within the natural process of being unalived.
So any amoral agent is then okay to be used for whatever you want, even against their consent?
An amoral agent cannot give consent.
Okay, so any amoral agent can be used for whatever you want?
You understand what amoral means?
It means out of morality, yes.
Right. So even being sentient in this matter wouldn't be applicable to amoral agency.
Okay, so I'll ask you again the question. Does that mean that any amoral agent is okay to do that we do whatever we want to them?
You're going to draw a false narrative here. I see where you're trying to go. This
No,
question,
I'm just asking because I want to understand your logic. There are clearly amoral agents that are both human and amoral agents, and I'm pretty sure you would not say that it's okay to do whatever you want to them. Yet, if they're a species that they're not human, then it's okay to do whatever you want to them. So I want to understand this distinction.
well, I think you're trying to distinguish capacity here, and I don't think it's going to work with me.
What am I trying to distinguish?
Capacity.
No, I merely said animals are sentient. We can find a human being on this planet 100% guaranteed who has the same cognitive abilities of an animal and the same level of sentience of an animal. I mean, maybe even less. And would it be okay to do to them whatever we want because they are amoral agents, as you call them?
Okay, so again, I might have to ask you again because you don't seem to understand what amoral agency is. Amoral agency doesn't consist of cognitive ability or cognitive dissonance. You understand this, correct?
So they don't have cognitive abilities, okay?
No, so hold on. Every human being to ever exist has moral agency.
No, no, no. Not every human being who has ever
Every
existed has
human
moral
being.
agencies. No,
Every
a
human being
baby
has
does not
moral.
have moral agency.
Okay, can you tell me? Can you define moral agency for me?
Somebody who can judge right from wrong. A moral agent is somebody who can understand morality to a degree where they can distinguish right from wrong.
No, that's achieved moral agency.
That's achieved moral agency. So,
Correct.
what is a moral agent? You tell me by your definition what a moral agent is.
So a person who is able to basically essentially what you said, right? The person who's able to discover what is right and wrong, right? But you're
Okay,
talking.
okay.
So wait, hold on,
If
I'm not
so,
done.
so
I'm
if
not
an
done.
intellectually
I
challenged,
understand. I understand. I said something that goes along with your narrative, but I want you to like let me finish here, right? Because there's very big context that we have to clarify. So amoral agency is somebody who can decipher right and wrong, right? This isn't going to stipulate whether somebody is or not, right? It's the fact that you have the capacity to do so. This
okay, so
capacity.
somebody who doesn't have this capacity, are they not a moral agent?
You understand what capacity means?
Yes, capacity means that they are capable of doing it, correct? Or are you using capacity with another meaning?
So this would imply possibility.
Yeah, okay. So if a baby is born with a cognitive disability where they cannot ever decipher right from wrong, where they essentially remain of the cognitive age of 2 years old, where they can't even speak, let's imagine, well, in fact, less than 2 years old, where they can't even speak, where basically they require assistance by another adult to happen, which would essentially be consenting for them in all the situations. Would it be okay to do whatever we want to them because they clearly wouldn't be moral agents, right? They couldn't decipher right from wrong and they wouldn't have the capacity to do so.
Again, they do have the capacity. Every human being has the capacity for moral
Wait a
agency.
minute. So how could they have the capacity if that will never happen to them?
So, I mean, at this point, you're bringing in fallacious behavior. You're
No,
saying
I'm not.
so
Explain
hold
to
on.
me how
I
could
will
they have
explain.
the capacity to
I will
decipher
explain.
right from wrong if they cannot, if their brain does not allow it? So
Okay, so again, the capacity for moral agency is just consistent with the possibility of being able to achieve moral agency, right? So
and there's human beings who cannot achieve that.
can you hold on? How can they not achieve this?
Take, for instance, human beings born with the condition called encephaly, which essentially they lack a part of their brain. In fact, all of those human beings are usually aborted. By the way, they're usually not born because it's a disease where essentially they're not they can't function pretty well, or they're actually at risk of certain parts of their brain not functioning, including the ones responsible for respiration and other stuff. But some of them are born, and the only part of their brain that is missing is the part where they can have cognition, where they can decipher right from wrong. And those individuals actually have less cognitive abilities than animals. They have less distinction from right from wrong than an animal ever could. And yeah, in fact, I would argue that a lot of animals do know right from wrong. But let me tell me what you think about these individuals.
So again, you didn't really explain to me the impossibility here.
Well, they were born without the part
Hold on,
of the
I
brain that
wasn't
makes
done.
it possible.
Chip, I wasn't done. So the other thing here, right? You implemented this would be an
Hold
impossibility.
on. Do you mind if I just interject for a second?
Oh, lovely.
So Hex, okay. So let's just go back to the beginning because I feel like right now we're getting really tied up in, moral agency, amoral, moral
I'm not
patience
tied up
section.
at all.
Okay. So, do you think that animals, our fellow animals, deserve moral concern?
Elaborate, please.
Do you think that we should consider their wants, their needs, their desires, what they feel, their emotions, all of that? Do you think that that is something that we should be concerned with?
I don't think that animals, other than human beings, have desires.
Say it again.
That I wouldn't think that an animal that isn't a human being has any kind of desire.
So you don't think our fellow animals desire anything?
Why are you calling them fellow animals?
Because we are animals and they are our fellow animals. We are all within the animal kingdom. So are you telling me that our fellow animals do not desire anything?
Are you trying to establish some equivalency between us and other
I'm
animals?
trying to get you to answer a question directly.
I don't understand your question. That's why I'm asking for clarification.
Okay, so you said that our fellow animals do not desire. They don't have desires. Is that correct?
I would think not.
Okay, so
Wait,
have you,
do you think?
wait, hold on. So
Go on, sorry.
sorry, so heck, so have you ever been around a dog or a cat?
I own a cat.
Okay, what's your cat's name?
Squish.
Squish. Oh, that's cute. So Squish, does Squish have a favorite toy? Does Squish like catnip? Does Squish maybe not like to be held in certain ways? Maybe certain sounds affect Squish and they want to avoid those sounds or places?
No, not really. Like most
No?
cats, he goes about what he wants to do.
What does he want to do?
I don't know.
You don't know what, oh, hold on. Okay. So you don't know what Squish wants to do, but you say that Squish goes around doing what they want to do. Would
Correct.
that not be a
Correct.
desire?
So hold on. So Free. I don't speak cat, right? I can't have a longevity conversation with my cat.
I'm not asking you to speak
Hold on.
the
So
same language. What I'm asking,
you asked me why I can't be able to.
hold on.
And I'm
What
giving
I'm,
you the answer.
hold
you just
on,
don't have an
hold
answer.
on. I feel like there are things that Squish wants. Maybe a favorite toy. Does Squish have a toy?
He has a few.
He has a what?
He has a few of them, and he doesn't even really play with them. He plays with my son's toys.
Say it again. He plays with what?
He plays with my kids' toys, the little toy cars, anything that rolls or runs around on the floor is what attracts him.
Okay. Yeah. So he likes like those sorts of toys. Totally. I get it. My cat loves that kind of stuff. And so that would you say that because Squish likes to play with those toys versus other toys, that is a preference, that's a desire of Squish to play with those toys?
I wouldn't call it a desire, no.
You would not. What would you call that?
Pretty much instinct for him.
So you're saying that he just reacts out of instinct. So
I just want to add to Freesia's thing. Your cat has a preference to play with your son's toys, not their own toys, but you're telling me it's just instinct? Go ahead, Freesia.
I wouldn't say it would be a preference. I think that'd be wrong verbiage here.
So what are you saying? If they want one thing over the other, what word would you use for that?
Right. So like most of the toys that my son has, because the applicable age that he is, he has like toy cars.
No, I get it, but
Hold on, I'm going to explain to you.
Hold on. No. I just asked a simple question. I said, so your cat wants one thing over the other. What would you call that?
I don't.
What word would you use for that? What's a good descriptor of that? Would preference?
I already gave you the descriptor. It would have been instinct, right? And if you would have
No. Again,
now you sound like an imbecile at the moment because you didn't let me finish.
Hexen, what the heck?
I mean,
Can I?
You're interrupting.
Hexen, before you go on, Hexen, before you go on, can you define desire for me or preference? Because you seem to dodge what any of these means. And I understand already, you already have your own dictionary for your own language of how you define things. But I need to understand how you define desire and preference, seen as the fact that your own cat prefers some toys to another's is not a preference, or your cat wants to do something is not a desire. So I need to understand what is a desire or a preference for you.
So, sir, I can just hold on. Sure, yeah, a desire could just be summed up to a strong want.
so your cat doesn't have desires.
I don't think that it would be classified as a desire. I think it acts off of
Hold
instinct.
on. Again. You said that your cat's you said that Squish wants one toy over over a different one. Your cat enjoys playing with your son's, roly toys over the toy that you have purchased for Squish.
You're drawing a
Are
false
you saying
conclusion.
that that's
You
not
won't let me finish speaking, so obviously you don't understand what I'm trying to say. So, are you going to allow me to actually speak, or are you just going to keep cutting me off and muting me?
Then it really matters if you're here to be an honest actor or if you're here to just win a debate. Because what we're talking about is someone having their rights violated, and you want to whittle them down to a thing. So you're biting bullets right now. You're biting bullets, and everyone can see you're exposed that you're not being logical. So if you want to
I'm
have a
biting
true
bullets.
conversation, we can continue. But if you're going to keep biting bullets, we're going to move on.
What bullet have I bitten?
You keep
It's
saying.
actually,
Go ahead, please.
I
Go ahead,
just,
Ciara.
I just have to say, it's literally scientific consensus that animals have preferences and wants and needs and feelings. They do not just act out of instinct. Like, you need to read up on your science if you're going to come up here and try to make that argument, because it just sounds ridiculous.
Provide me a source that shows the sentiment, please. Where they are able to express the desire.
Wait a minute. There's human beings who cannot express desire, but yet they still have desire. Take, for instance, if I'm at the dentist and they're with their finger in my mouth doing all that kind of stuff, I would definitely have some desires or some preferences, and I may not be able in the moment to express them. But does that mean that I do not have desires or preferences? And by the way, preference by the dictionary says a greater liking for one alternative over another. It sounds to me like your cat definitely likes one thing over another, as you mentioned, which is by definition a preference. It's kind of weird to me that you don't want to, like as Ciara said also, we have science behind it, we have a dictionary behind it,
I'm waiting
and
for the
you just really want to make a point that isn't there. You're basing everything off of something that isn't there.
So, Chip, I haven't even made my point, right? Every time that I tried to make my point to clarify the instinct partial, I kept getting interrupted, which it seems like you just did.
Okay. Let me ask you this then, Hexen. Make your point, but when you make your point and you say that animals behave instinctively, like they instinctively have a preference or a desire, please explain to me how that is not also the case for humans. Because as far as I know, what I like is not coming from intellectual things that I learned. Most of the things that I prefer, especially in terms of food, for example, especially in terms of the inclinations that I have, are pretty much instinctive. My brain adopted them without me even knowing.
Sure. First, I just want to say I never clarified that there was a difference between instinct between humans and animals. But yeah, so like my cat, right? For instance, for most things that we know about cats, they're drawn to small things that make noise or have some kind of jingle to it, which is typically what my cat plays with. Anything like that gets him to energize or run around, or something that looks like maybe prey is what he chases. So, for instance, a toy car. When the toy car runs around on the floor, it makes noise and it moves. Right? My cat chases that around. I would call that an instinctual move. I wouldn't call that preference.
Would you call it an instinctual move if I put $10,000 on a ribbon and I just throw it around at people? Do you think people will go after the money? Because I think people will go after the money. Will I call that instinct?
I don't see the equivalence here.
Well, I just like I felt the whole point that I'm trying to make is that the fact that they have preferences that are coming from their DNA or whatever their species, what they're like, does not make it less of a preference, first of all. And second, you have no way of knowing how much of what you prefer is coming from nature versus nurture. You just seem to assume that everything you prefer is coming from nurture and everything animals prefer is coming from nature, when in fact you may have both of them, and animals may also have both of them. And we don't have to agree, like we don't have to disagree on this one. As Ciara said, we have science behind it.
What do you not trust empirical evidence? What is it about that?
You haven't even shown me empirical evidence to provide that source. So I mean, like, I'm not just gonna go like, yeah, trust me, bro. Here, right? Like, if you can provide me,
Have you heard of?
read it.
Hold on, Hex, can I just ask you a couple more
I
questions?
don't know why we're dogpiling Hex here.
Well,
Before
because
Freesia continues, the resources that prove animals are sentient are the Declaration of Consciousness, or the New York Declaration of Consciousness, and the Cambridge Declaration of Consciousness. They go over thousands of studies and explain why an animal is sentient. Please, Freesia, continue.
yeah, no, that's an excellent point.
I haven't debated sentience within animals. What are you talking about?
So, okay, so Hex, so my question about Squish, does Squish have a certain food that they like, maybe one food over another?
No.
No. So you're saying that Squish, hold on. So I have 2 cats. I've grown up with cats my whole life. Every single one of them have had preferences. Every single one of them had a certain food that they liked, had a certain way that they liked to play. Every single one has enjoyed different things. Every single one has enjoyed different ways of being petted, being held, different places, different sounds. They all have had their own individual personalities. And are you telling me that Squish does not have their own individual personality?
I mean, I don't have any other cats to compare his personality to, but I again, like, you're bringing in an anecdotal that I cannot prove.
No. What I'm trying to get is I'm trying to get you to understand that Squish is an individual. I think you keep trying to bring it back to this. I need evidence of this, and this, but the evidence is right in front of you with Squish.
I never claimed that he wasn't an individual animal.
I'm saying as someone who has their own preferences, someone who enjoys certain things, who doesn't enjoy other things, that Squish is going to be different than my 2 cats. I have 2 cats, and Squish is going to be different from both of them. Both my 2 cats are very different from each other.
Sure, but this doesn't prove that my cat doesn't eat a variety of things.
No, but what I'm saying is that these beings are sentient and they have their own wants and desires that should be respected. Their lives should be respected.
There's the talking point. So there's the talking point then. I don't consider sentience to be an achievement to rights.
Why not? You don't think that someone who can feel pain, emotions, all have consciousness, understand the world around them, understand what's happening to them, you don't think that they deserve moral consideration?
So can you tell me what sentient is? I think that we're operating off 2 different definitions.
What I just said, do you think that they deserve moral consideration?
Right. Again, I think that we're talking about 2 different variations of sentience. Can you tell me what you take sentience to be?
Sentience is binary. You either are or are not.
I laid it out pretty clearly.
I mean, that's a logical portion for it, sure, but that doesn't tell me what sentience is. That was just
She just said they can feel, they have preferences, they have emotions. See how you're just being disingenuous when it comes to every question?
Yeah, so for asking for clarification, I'm definitely disingenuous.
No, you're being disingenuous for every question. She straight out asked you, does your cat have preferences? And you said no. And then you said, oh, I didn't say that they don't eat a variety of food or something like that. Like, you're straight up being disingenuous.
You're not even verbalizing what I said correctly. None of that was what I said. I never claimed that my cat didn't have
I kind of feel like you're one of those trolls that just wants to waste our time. You want to deny what any definition of word means because you have your own dots connected in your head. Like, I understand that morality
it's pretty clear.
Yeah. Like, we've made it very clear that animals are sentient, animals make preferences, and you're denying the science. That's what's holding you back. And I just want to let you know that's what every oppressor does. Well, oppressors that benefit from oppression belittle, demean their victims. They think that their victims are not sentient.
No, you just draw a false narrative, and I'm
this is what you're defending. You're saying that animals don't make preferences, therefore it's okay that we steal from them because they don't make preferences.
That's not what I said.
Okay, so animals feel pain and make preferences just like us. What morally justifies stealing that from them for you?
Stealing what from them again?
Their bodies, lives, families, freedom.
Well, I don't think that there's anything wrong in
So why can't I do it to you?
Because I'm a moral agent.
Yeah, but why
have
can't I do it to you?
because I have rights.
What rights? Why do I care?
I have a right to my life.
Why should I not harm you?
It's not about whether you
Why
should or
should do you have a preference that I don't harm you?
Yeah, I have a preference
Okay,
to live.
should I respect that, or should I have a deep philosophical conversation with you about your morals?
Well, within morality, you have an obligation.
Should I have a deep conversation with you, or should I just respect you?
No, so I don't
Should
think
I do what I want to your body, or should I respect that you want your autonomy? Answer my question.
Again, this is what you're doing. You're drawing
Answer
a
my
false
question, or I'm going to kick you.
Why are you drawing a false narrative?
Why should I respect your autonomy?
You don't have to. That's the answer.
False, fake actor.
Oh my god, that was awful.
That's what I hate the most, when they are
Well,
not
what kind of
acting as
argument?
them true selves. He would definitely defend himself. He absolutely thinks it's wrong that someone violate him. Do I need to do that to understand that I should respect him? Or should I just know that he's having his own subjective experience and respect that by not intervening unless absolutely necessary?
Right.
That was actually extremely concerning. The way he doesn't think animals have preferences or emotions. Like,
He's literally a debate bro, though. That's yes.
oh no,
You're
I
right,
do
though.
I do understand that, but it's very concerning. Like, he should not be taking care of animals or of very young children.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I thought he was just the typical person who started learning morality or stuff and doesn't really understand it. He just uses words to say what he means, and because to want to, I feel like if you're listening to this, man, I hope you are, because the whole point of saying let's make definitions, let's define something, you only say that when there is a possibility of confusion, when that definition could mean something else. Desire or preference, they're pretty clear what they mean, especially in the context of what we were discussing. So no, you don't need to define those unless you think they might mean something else. Anyway.
I felt like he purposely would bring up, like, can you define this? Because he wanted to distract from the question and to kind of pivot away from his own responsibility. Like, oh, can you define that? Like, does it really need defining?
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Like, it's like, really, you can't just say that wants and needs are desires and preferences.
Yeah. I mean, it's clearly a preference. You just said your cat doesn't play with the toys you got them, right? That's a preference. They don't want to use those toys. They don't care about them. Anyway.
Exactly. And if Squish didn't want to play with the cat toys that were purchased for them, but instead wanted to play with a different toy, then why, if all cats are the same, why was that cat toy even created? Right? Like, because some cats enjoy those.
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
Right. That's true. Anna,
What's up?
your background, you got it over where you can see Dominion, but on the other side, nutritional facts, you can't see .org.
I don't know what
I don't know if you
TikTok
care
is
or not.
doing. What is TikTok doing? Like, if you could see the image.
I don't either.
So right now, to me, my image is like it's like all the way by you guys, and I'm worried if I go any further, it'll be off of my screen.
I mean, can you move it back the other way a little bit?
Is there space on this side?
Yes, there's space on that side.
Okay. I just have to
Maybe
go.
just
I have to do it on my
a
phone.
little bit.
If you guys want,
just like-
go ahead and bring up another guest. I will chime in if you want me to. I do appreciate you guys talking though, so I hope I'm not like being lazy. Trying to get background. Okay.
I'll bring him up.
All right, throw someone up. Yeah, I'll mute myself.
Ready, guys? Here we go.
Give me 1 second, please.
TikToker.
Hello.
I'm sorry. I actually brought up somebody. TikToker, can I kick you and come back? Can you come back and we'll add you afterwards? Because I accidentally added somebody else.
If you want, they can stay up there if they're willing to stay muted through this.
Okay.
So that way we know they're next.
Okay.
Yeah, come on, everybody, tap the screen. Tap, tap, tap.
I'm sorry, Laurie. I should have mentioned that I'm bringing somebody.
Oh, no, that's okay. Just let me know, because I usually bring up for her. but that's cool.
Yeah. Hey, relentless Romanian. So, animals are sentient. What morally justifies you using them?
We can't hear you, Relentless. Can you come off mute?
Yeah.
He could be gone. Maybe. I don't know. Is he in?
Okay. TikToker. What morally justifies you using animals, knowing that they are sentient?
Well, I have this condition where I can only eat blood. I have to avoid garlic, sunlight, and if I go into someone's house, they have to welcome me in.
Oh, he's a vampire. Good shot. Really? Come on.
So you're gonna hunt me because I'm a vampire now?
What
Are
is this
you?
condition called?
Yeah.
Vampirism.
Vampirism. Huh, that's funny. That's funny. Come on, dude. We
What
got
I
does it?
have to
people in
live
the
in a
panel.
castle. That's good.
We got
Yeah, listen, I know
people
you
that
want to
want
joke
to talk
around.
about this. We want people
Yeah.
that want to talk about this and learn, not somebody fooling around. Bye, Mr. Vampire.
I use True
Okay,
Blood for
you're
food.
muted. You're muted, Ciara. You're muted. Yeah, you're muted.
Yeah, I didn't know if you wanted me to throw someone up, but you guys are handling it. I'm almost at the picture.
Okay.
Over here. Do you want me to throw someone at you? Or are you picking someone?
No, I got him.
Cool.
I got him. Go ahead. Dalton, can you give us your age for TikTok purposes?
26.
26. Okay. Go ahead, panel.
What morally, like, what's wrong with eating animals?
Well,
Other
like
animals, dolphins will literally torture pufferfish, chew them up to get high.
So I guess I would say, so you're talking about, you asked you asked what's wrong about
what's
consuming our
morally
fellow
wrong?
animals? Okay, so that's why when we're talking about sentience, we're talking about how our fellow animals, just like us, they have the ability to feel. They have the ability to have a subjective experience. They are aware of what's going on around them, like emotions, all those sorts of things. And so we're saying that because of sentience, because they have all those abilities, it's not okay for us to then use their bodies, to exploit them, to eat their flesh, to do things to them that violate their bodily autonomy and their autonomy in general. Does that make sense?
Okay, I'll get you some food, baby. But why can't we hold all these animals that, like, the dolphins that torture pufferfish and chew them up to get high, and polar bears that will actively hunt humans and eat them? Why can't we hold them to these moral standards?
Yeah, so the reason why is because we understand the difference between what right and wrong. We're moral agents, so we can see that, it's wrong to use someone, right? It's wrong to take someone's life. And so we understand that. Our fellow animals are moral patients, meaning that they deserve moral consideration. But they don't have that same ability usually to have that kind of moral agency, to understand what's right and wrong and how their actions could be hurting someone and why they should not do that.
Well, if we can't, at that point, then whose moral standard are we looking at? Because everyone has a different moral standard.
Well,
I'm fixing eggs, okay?
we're talking about ethical stances, right? So veganism it's an ethical stance against the exploitation of sentient life.
Well, I'm coming, Delilah. Hold on.
It's okay. Do you need to take care of Delilah right now?
I'm good. But
That's a cute name. I like that name better.
I got you. Sorry, I'm losing train of thought. I just lost my whole thing.
That's okay. Did you hear what I said though before about what veganism is and yeah. So basically that's what we're saying is that it's wrong to use someone. It's wrong to use someone. It's wrong to exploit them. It's wrong to oppress them. That's basically all we're saying.
So you don't believe in eating them at all, even if they're put down in a humane way?
Yes, we're saying that it's not okay to take someone's life and eat their flesh because we enjoy the taste of their bodies. That would be exploitation. That would be violating their autonomy. Do you want us? We can bring up a different guest, and
Yeah, can you go ahead and bring up a different guest while I take care of my daughter?
Yeah.
There we go. Yeah, okay. Awesome.
Yo, what's up?
Remind me, are you vegan?
Yeah, I've been
Okay.
vegan for 10 years.
Oh, okay. I've talked to so many people. I no longer remember who I'm talking to, I guess. I like write down names and then I just don't look at them again. So I'm very sorry. Welcome, Hannah.
No, it's okay. And if you don't want to keep another vegan up, if you want to bring like a non-vegan up, that's fine. I just I like watching your lives, so I just figured I'd request and say what's up.
Hell yeah. I mean, does anybody know how many people you can have total in this frame? Is it 6 or 7 or is this the top? Because if we can add more, I don't mind vegans being up here.
I think it's 6. I can hop down too. There's no, I can definitely hop down if you need.
You don't have. I mean, we have only 5 up, but if you want to step down, that's fine. But you don't feel pressured to. Well, thank you.
Okay, I'll chill for a little bit and then I'll probably hop down.
Cool. Yeah. Yeah. So everyone stay up, and then if you want to leave, you're welcome to. I'm just going to bring up the next one. Unless I was going to say, should we talk to Hannah for a minute? Like I talk about what made you vegan.
Oh, Hannah. Sorry, she's vegan. Do you want to?
Yeah.
We could also.
Anna, you want to take down Doll since he's taking care of the child? Can you take down Doll?
Yeah.
Oh, take him down just together.
He said he said he'd come back. I don't think he knew how to.
Oh, was he asking to get kicked? I got it.
Yeah, he's going to take care of his daughter.
Totally. Well, so I don't really want to dwell too much on why we went vegan. I just wanted to have kind of an introduction of Hannah because I don't know if have you sat on my panel before?
No, so I
didn't think
tried to, and I was having like connection issues or something. So I was like, just saying, hey. So I haven't actually like spoken to you.
Yeah, stay up. I'd prefer you to hang out with us and yeah.
You ready?
Yeah, absolutely. Throw someone at us.
Oh, you guys ready?
Yeah,
Okay.
let's do it.
Here we go. You just spoke to Hexen, right?
Yeah,
Hexen?
I don't want to have Hexen back up.
They want to come back up, but I won't bring them. Okay. Jamal?
Yep.
What is your age for TikTok purposes, please?
22.
Okay.
Awesome.
All right, so why don't we hold animals to the same moral standards as humans?
I'll answer that if you answer my question first, which is what morally justifies you using them?
Well, they don't have the same laws as we do.
That's true. All right, so I guess I will answer your question at the same time. Do you know what moral agents and moral patients are?
I'm not familiar with the concept.
Okay, so you and I are what we would consider moral agents because we can weigh out what's right and wrong. We understand that morality is complex.
So you're saying animals can't do that, though?
So we are moral agents. You and I can understand that it's complex. Moral patients might have some idea of morality, but they don't fully understand morality. And many of the animals that are like out in the wild.
Isn't that like a part of being sentient?
No. Being sentient.
Okay, then what's
Jamal,
the difference?
Are you up here to actually have a conversation?
Yeah. I'm just curious.
Let her finish her statement.
Sorry.
So sentience is having an experience and weighing out if you prefer it or not. Sentient beings typically prefer to be comfortable and avoid harm, have this interest in continuing to live.
Okay. So what's the difference between non-sentience and what's the
non-sentience is not experiencing the world. They're just like a plant, for example, are just chemical reactions. You know, the path of least resistance is how they exist, basically.
Yeah, but the way you describe sentience, that
Sentience,
like
you have to have a brain, you have to have the organs in order to express sentience, to be able to not just react to your environment, but actually experience it, decide if you like it or not. It's a subjective thing. Whereas plants react the same way to the same stimuli. Does that make sense? Each sentient being is a unique individual. Just like, every human, no two humans are the
yeah,
same, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
and that's where I feel like morals come into play because everyone has a different sense of morals. So why isn't that a part of sentience?
I don't understand the question.
Well, if we all have different morals, wouldn't that be a part of sentience?
Yeah, so we have interests that we share. Like, I'm sure that you prefer to avoid harm.
That's common between like
Okay.
all species.
I'm sure that you prefer to be comfortable. I'm sure that you have your own unique things that bring you joy that don't bring me joy. Right?
Yeah.
You're a unique individual. Animals are very much the same. That's all that matters. It's not about your sapience of understanding what's right and wrong. Like, that takes intelligence. Yes, some animals might have some of that, but I'm saying that we both share the capacity to suffer and we both want to avoid that. So why are we subjecting someone to something that we know they don't like for no reason?
That's a good question, honestly, but that kind of stumped me.
I mean,
Gave me a little bit to think
I
about.
was like, yeah, definitely take a second. I mean, when you see any two animals, they're never the same, and they all have that preference to keep going. They don't want to be taken away.
Well, see, I don't know how the process is all done and whatever, like how they
Oh,
actually
okay.
kill the animals.
Sure. So I would watch these documentaries. These just show you what those standard practices are. And it is just kind of a starting point of, wow, this is crazy that this is what's allowed. But then you also understand that even the kindest, like backyard chickens, for example, seem so harmless. But it's because the cruelty is just already baked in that we don't really recognize it anymore. We took someone that was free, living in their home, and we made them mate with someone they wouldn't normally mate with so that their baby was deformed to fit our needs. And if we don't need to do that anymore, we should stop it.
In some way, I still disagree with that, honestly. But like,
what part?
Because if they were left to their own devices, the world would be complete chaos.
Well,
Would
again,
it not?
so they're moral patients, right? They're surviving a harsh environment. And actually,
No,
are you talking about wild animals or farmed animals?
well, farmed animals because
Oh.
they obviously live like a decently long. I would probably say a good 8 years at least.
Yeah, so remember I told you we took someone free and we made them mate with someone so that their baby was deformed and fit our needs. In that process, we took away their ability to thrive in their own environments anymore. We handicapped them to be domesticated. That's what domestication means. We've stolen their abilities to be independent. So it would be irresponsible for us to just release them because they're no longer equipped with the right tools, right? So we would care for who's here and just no longer let them procreate.
Well, how would you solve the problem then? Let me ask you that.
Like I just said.
If we had to go to say we just released all the farm animals and whatnot.
No, I didn't say that. I said don't do that. That would be irresponsible.
Can I just add something real quick onto what you were saying?
Please.
Jamal was saying that farmed animals live a decently long life, and they're actually, most of them are killed when they're babies still. I just want to make that clear.
Okay.
Yeah. They can live up to 24 to 30 years, and we're killing them at...
Cows are killed.
Unaliving them at a very young age.
Oh, Hannah, you're cutting in and out.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'll move to a better spot.
Okay, so let's say everyone in the world was to change their ideas right now, and they would just turn to veganism. What then? What would you do with all the animals? There'd be no space for them.
If the world went vegan overnight?
Yeah, let's just put a
Oh, they
hypothetical.
already exist. They're already here. So I would say we just take care of them while they're here.
But would you
no
diminish
longer.
human society in order to benefit animals?
What?
Like say, like would you move humans, like say, out of a certain space in order to give animals more land to thrive or whatever?
No, what I would do is eliminate animal agriculture so we don't have to feed 92 billion animals annually, so we could free up 75% of our agricultural land, which could provide room for rewilding, homes for people, whatever, solar panels, whatever. That the land that I'm talking about is equivalent to North America and South America combined if we stopped animal ag. But if everyone changed their mindset overnight, that means nobody wants to use animals as a resource. We recognize that they're sentient. So we will put that effort forward to try to, mitigate the mess that we've made and consider them morally in the process. I don't have every answer, as I'm not like a conservationist, et cetera, but I can refer you to studies, like the study I'm talking about is reducing food's environmental impact through producers and consumers. And they go over thousands of farms in hundreds of countries. And it's mind-blowing how much we're wasting to just steal someone's life,
Okay,
that's also a pointless hypothetical because that's not happening and that's not going to happen. People are not going to go vegan overnight, like, clearly.
Okay, what's your take on animals eating animals? Would you stop that? Would you stop them from killing each other, like, forcefully?
Well, I would think that we should control our species before we start intervening with other species.
No, but would you do it?
No, I don't think
No?
so because I'm talking to you. If I can't even control my own species, what makes me think that I know better on how to resituate every ecosystem in the wild? You are not in the wild. You're not part of these ecosystems. You're part of our society. And right now, the way that the choices you're making are demanding someone be enslaved and exploited. And right now you're using wild animals as your excuse for why you demand someone else's exploitation. Like, it has nothing to do with your choices. So why aren't
Yes.
you
So
vegan?
if I,
Oh, go ahead, Chip, please.
Yeah, so Jamal, you're putting interesting things. In fact, a lot of the topics that you're mentioning are topics that are actually discussed in the vegan circles. We discuss what would happen with predators and such because we care about animals and we discuss the morality of a lot of things. We find it interesting. But those situations are completely unrealistic and they're more than anything a derail from the actual thing, right? Because in our day-to-day life, we have two options. Whenever let's say you eat, because veganism is not just about food, it's about clothing, it's about entertainment, it's about the animals, right? So wherever we use animals, we shouldn't because we don't need to, right? So take for instance a situation where you're buying food. You have the choice between choosing to pay for the oppression of an animal or choosing to not do that. That's your options. So why would you ever choose to oppress an animal? If you have that option, why would you ever choose to oppress an animal?
Because if everybody's just okay, hold on, give me a second to go. Ugh, God, English. Sorry. Well, I give you a hypothetical, right? If everyone was to change their minds, but what's the end goal here? If everyone's not going to change their minds, and that's never actually a possibility, then why would I have to stop?
But Jamal, it's not that they cannot change their mind. I wholeheartedly believe that everybody will change their mind, and the people who won't will be forced to change their mind with laws, just like it happened with the rights of other races, just like it happened with the rights of women, right? There will always be people who will have an issue with the rights of others, but that's a different thing. The majority will change their mind. It's just that what we were saying is that it's unrealistic to think that everybody will change their mind overnight, like in one day. The
Yeah,
reality
it's just a
is that
hypothetical, obviously, but that was going towards like a bigger picture.
yeah. So if you want the bigger picture, the way I see it is, as more and more people go vegan, less and less animals are brought into existence for the sole purpose of being used.
by us for optional products. And at some point, we will reach a critical mass of animals where, which are brought into existence. And yeah, we'll have to take care of those animals. But when we get there, there will be so few animals that it won't be that big of an issue. We could already deal with it, right? So maybe if the whole world were to turn vegan tonight, then tomorrow we might have an issue that would need solving. But to be honest, I would still rather have that issue than the issue of there are millions of people who bring animals to life only to treat them like objects and kill them. I would much rather have the issue, okay, but what do we do with them now? It's still solvable. So even in the hypothetical, it would still be better off. That's my point.
Okay. Well, that pretty much sums up everything I wanted to ask. So I appreciate your time and your
But
sorry.
Yeah, that's
Thank you
okay,
for
Jamal.
answering my
But can I ask you
questions.
something?
Yeah.
Before you go, can I ask you something? So this is a hard question, okay? So how many more animals should be exploited or treated like objects and then killed for you until you change? How many do you want?
Well,
You know how many?
basically, if
No, go ahead.
right now the way society is, it's just common. That's just it's commonplace to eat animals. And until it's not, I'm not going to see a problem with it, because if other people are just going to keep doing it, why should I stop? That's the point I'm trying to make.
Wait, hold on.
That's like saying if everybody's littering, then why shouldn't I litter?
Right.
Exactly. So Jamal, it's all social change happens because each individual decides that this is what's currently happening is no longer okay, right? That's like, if we look throughout history, that's how all social change has happened, right?
Okay.
So what we're saying is that you as an individual can join in and say, I will no longer support this. And then in the larger picture, be part of that movement, a movement that is aiming to end use and exploitation of sentient beings. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
So you do have power as an individual. You do have power.
Yeah. Honestly, it's giving me some things to think about, but it's probably not going to change my opinion overall. I'm probably still going to end up eating animals. I'm just going to be real with you, honestly.
Would you be open to watching a documentary?
How long's the documentary?
It's a long documentary, but you can skip through it. So you can skip to certain parts. You don't need to watch
Is it free?
the whole thing. But I do recommend watching at least 20 minutes beyond the first 20. And Anna is pointing to it right now. God words.
Yeah.
So Dominion.
Is it on YouTube or what is it on?
Yeah, it's on YouTube. And so you could just look up Dominion full documentary. It's going to say 2018, like it says on the screen. And then that's the one. And it just shows standard practices. So, and I think it's really important for, if this is something that you want to decide to, if you want to continue to contribute and support the animal agriculture industry, the using of animals, then it's important to understand what exactly you are supporting.
Okay. Actually, I do have one last question. What would you do if there's an overpopulation crisis? Let's say one animal species was going haywire and just like consuming let's say it was cows, right? And they were eating all the green lands. Well, what then? What would you do?
Well, I mean, that's kind of what's currently happening, is that if you look at public lands, a lot of public lands are being used for cattle grazing. And then these cows cause desertification, they cause all sorts of environmental damage, ruin waterways. So that's something that is actually happening. And it's because we are breeding them into existence in order to then later eat their flesh.
Yeah, but the number of cows obviously diminishes once we, kill them. So what happens if they were just left to their that's what I'm talking about, overpopulation. God. When it comes to overpopulation, if we can't kill animals, what do we do with them?
There's lots of different ways that population can be controlled. depending on the animal, depending on where, like the different environments, what's happening. So there are different methods. But I mean, if we're talking about farmed animals, the reason why they're here is because we are purposely breeding them. And that's a choice that we're making to do.
Okay.
I think it sounds like you're taking a lot of this in, and I really do appreciate that. And I feel like you are open to this information, and I think Dominion would be really, really helpful just to yeah, because it does.
I'll skim through it.
It does seem like you are connecting with this on some level.
Yeah, I understand where you guys are coming from. Obviously, like everything has like sentience and morality. That's a topic that I like to think about quite often, because first of all, where does it come from? Is it just like the brain, or like what actually is it? Is it just our DNA? Is it the differences in our DNA? What actually, like, I don't know. It's just something to think about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I get that. And I think it's an important topic to think about, and to think about what role you want to play in what's currently happening.
Okay. Well, anyways, I appreciate you guys' time, and I appreciate you guys answering my questions.
Before you
I'm
go,
probably gonna head
Jamal,
out.
before you go,
Yeah.
though, could you answer what Chip had asked you? He asked you,
What?
should the number of animals that you want exploited for you be more than 0?
Sorry, can you rephrase that and like
So, should you exploit? Do you want more animals be exploited for you? Do you want that number to be higher than 0? The number of animals exploited for you
so let me try
from here on.
so if
Do you want any more animals exploited in your name? Do you prefer that?
obviously I don't want that to happen,
Okay.
but
So
it's
the only way
currently
to do that is to live vegan.
honestly,
Yeah, and focus on that thing, right? Focus on this idea, because you don't want any of them to happen. That's essentially what none of us want also. We just follow through with it. That's it.
okay. Honestly, I'm probably
And
gonna stick to my diet log, because in nature we're
You
like
want the number
designed.
to be higher than 0?
Listen. All
No,
right,
no,
I'm
you
gonna
need
just
to
be honest.
answer this. I want you to say it out loud that you want the number to be higher than 0. There's a reason you can't say it right now.
Well,
You're still giving yourself permission to violate someone.
okay, when you phrase it like that, it makes it sound pretty bad, because you're using you're saying somebody. That's the key word. But and when I refer to animals as animals. A
But
someone is someone I
Jamal,
can talk to and actually share expressions with. Animals can't
do you
communicate.
th do you think that
yes, hold
behind
on.
the eyes of an animal, do you think that behind those eyes there isn't a somebody? Because I personally think
There's
there is a
definitely a
somebody.
somebody, but like, well, it's not somebody.
There is someone though. See?
It's a
So,
being that is alive.
Jamal, I want
Yes,
you to just
but
take a second. Look, the thing is, there is actually brain chemistry happening here. There are studies on this that show that when you're thinking about what you're losing, you're going to focus on defending that no matter what. But think about what the animal is losing. If you were in their position, what would you want your oppressors to do? Would you want them to take their time? Would you want them to keep using you even though they know they don't have to, and it would take them maybe 20 minutes of research to figure out how to live without you? What would you want your oppressors
If you're
to
worried
do?
about them, take them with you. If you're worried about them,
I
take them with
couldn't give
you.
you a straight answer, because I honestly haven't been in that situation.
If you were being oppressed,
Oh,
would you want it to
obviously, I
stop?
wouldn't want that, but I couldn't give you like
If you were being oppressed, would you want it to stop immediately, or would you like them to wait a while before they stop? What would you prefer as the oppressed?
Well, this. Yes, obviously, I would want the oppression to.
Thank you. That's an honest answer. I know. I feel your frustration, okay? When I first learned about animals and that they don't want to be used, I was literally sounding the same, like, God, I don't want my TikTok to be taken down. But, I was very frustrated. I understand what you're saying, but you're also revealing to yourself that you actually have compassion for people that have the capacity to suffer, and you are recognizing that you're being cognitively dissident, right? You're feeling that uncomfortable feeling. That's it. And that's okay to feel. That's okay to feel frustrated, but, just, look at why you're frustrated, right? You don't want to cause them harm and your actions are doing this. What can you do to stop? You're in the right spot. I can tell you are. You've asked great questions, you did get a little defensive and started forgetting about the animal sentience again, but you still came back to it. You're like still wrestling with the fact that they can feel and don't want to be used, and your taste pleasure, really.
And their lives are worth more than 15 minutes of a tasty sandwich when we can make a tasty sandwich that doesn't hurt anyone. There are options.
Yeah, right. And for every one animal you don't eat, you're saving up to 300. So think about having 300 animals behind your back and just like right with you.
Yeah.
That's a lot of animals for one person to save.
We've all been where you are. Like I remember battling with that too. Cause I was like, no, like, you want to keep doing what you're familiar with, but once that really sinks in of like, oh my God, like what am I actually doing? What am I actually supporting? Then it's just, for me, I couldn't do it anymore. I couldn't do it. And I feel like that's what you're battling with right now. And that's okay. Like
Yeah, you guys are definitely giving me some perspective.
Maybe this is the opportunity for you to drop down and you can go check out those documentaries. And if anything changes for you, I would love to hear back from you. I'm sure anybody on this panel would love to hear back from you. Like you could reach out to us in a private message or whenever any of us are live. Yeah.
All right. Well, I'll go give those quick skim through. I'll come back if anything changes.
If you like, if anybody you like in the panel,
yeah,
take them on.
Definitely follow all of them.
They're all good people.
These are all great people.
Yeah, they're all good people.
All right. Well, I'm gonna head out now. But thank you guys for your time and thank you for answering my questions.
Yeah. Thanks for coming up, Jamal. That was great, guys.
He's already there mentally. He's just like struggling with like changing his lifestyle,
Totally.
sorry.
Oh, please go ahead. Sorry.
No, you go.
I was just going to say, when I was reading the book Skinny Bitch, because that was about going vegan, but for health reasons, I was still like getting mad because they do talk about animal rights a little bit in there, and I was like, damn it. I'm losing all the things I'm familiar with, but then also I don't want to use them even though I'm familiar with them because I don't want to support that. That way outweighed, the loss, but that's exactly where he's at.
Yeah, no, same. I mean, I remember wrestling with it and, being like, oh, but, I love blue cheese and all this kind of stuff. And, but then it just gets to a point where you're like, I can't justify this. I can't,
I don't want to be the reason that this is happening to those animals. That's just.
Exactly. Like my love for blue cheese does not outweigh someone's life,
Plus vegan blue cheese is pretty
cheese now.
Yeah, exactly, Lori.
Wait, what?
They have a vegan.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
Wait, what?
I think I've seen the blue cheese, vegan blue cheese in my store.
Yeah, I have vegan blue
I've
cheese.
seen it.
There was
I'm not
also,
a big blue cheese person, but
wasn't there like this big uproar about this food channel competition, and there was like vegan cheese, and it was vegan blue cheese actually that was about to win.
And they disqualified them because it wasn't quote unquote real blue cheese, even though they were going to win.
I don't know how they can't say it's not real.
I don't know. Yeah.
It's made with the same cultures. How is it not blue cheese?
Yeah. I don't know.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to find some of this because, like, yes.
I'm going to keep looking now for Freesia. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, sure. So I actually wanted to mention one thing in this stream. I'm sorry, it's a little bit of a change of subject, but
that's okay.
I wanted to mention that I feel like I know we call animals moral patients,
Yeah.
But I personally believe that they are actually they actually know, like I think they have some form of morality
Oh, I
themselves.
agree.
You can definitely teach an animal right from wrong. I just think it's difficult because of the communication between us and them to teach them the complexity of, I know that you like this food, but it is wrong to oppress another being.
Yeah.
And I think not all animals have the capability of putting themselves, what is it? Is it sympathy? Not empathy, sympathy, right? When you put yourself in somebody else's shoes. Now, I think
Empathy.
not all
Empathy
animals
is where
have
you
that
put.
capability.
I think empathy is in their shoes, and sympathy is. I don't know. Maybe I'm confusing. I'm
Oh,
sorry.
okay.
I'll go look it up. Sorry.
Yeah. So I think they can definitely tell right from wrong.
Yeah.
I'm pretty certain that they can, and they can be taught a lot of things, whether right or wrong. I just think that they do lack some things there, but it would also be incredibly unfair to say, well, it's okay to exploit them because of that,
Right.
when we are essentially understanding a complex moral thing that the people who are coming up here and debating it do not understand it. Would that mean that we have the right to oppress them? Right? Like it's yeah.
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right. Because they're often describing it. They think that they do have
Yeah.
this moral agency, but it's like you don't even understand it. You're not weighing out right and wrong. You're just going with what everyone tells you, which is a fallacy. In fact, it's not actually weighing out the situation.
Exactly.
Yeah, I was gonna say yeah. Um, and also I do agree that like I do worry that when I am calling animals moral patients that it's aiding the oppressor position that we are above them, because you are right. When we take like gorillas, we were able to communicate. I can't. Coco, was that the name of the gorilla that could do sign language?
Yeah, Coco. Yeah.
Yeah, like we obviously see other animals have empathy, morals. Humans have our own laws, right? That we understand. Like you said, communication. We can't communicate with them. They can't even communicate with other animals. You know? Yeah. Like there's.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's interesting. I definitely understand where you're coming from with the the moral patient kind of and I think you're right that there is an aspect of like I don't know othering in a way or whatever.
Yeah. Like I feel like I'm
I guess
othering them.
yeah. I mean, I guess for me, I just consider moral patience as someone who deserves moral concern. I
Yeah.
guess that's how I see
Maybe
it.
that's a better
but,
way
I
to put
mean,
it. Yeah, they just deserve moral consideration regardless of their understanding of morality. How does that sound?
That's how. Yeah,
Because
that's
that's
how
really
I
what
view
it is. It's like I don't care how they understand morality; they're just sentient. That's base one. And if they understand sentience, then they would be a moral agent. Because moral agents can be moral patients too. So
Exactly. That's how I see it.
yeah, I don't want to be demeaning. Animals are very smart, and I really don't like that humans do this supremacy thing where animals are not smart. They're very
Yeah,
intelligent.
I think we just I think we give ourselves too much credibility of how intelligent we are. I think
Yeah.
the mental faculties are almost identical between us and them. In fact, I think there is a very interesting study called "Learning Slow in Animals." I think it's something like that. It's not a study. It's like an article on
Okay.
web on what do you call it? The place where you got the studies. Anyway.
WebMD
Oh,
or not Web?
no,
What's that? Not WebMD. Oh my God, why did that pop into my brain? I was a National
yeah,
Institute of
same.
Science.
No, the PM of
Oh, okay, yeah.
yeah, whatever. But the only thing is we have more storage capacity, more memory, and we have, which is I think the biggest thing out of everything, we have this complex language. We have this thing that where we can speak in so many intricacies. Like this, we have so much finesse on how what we can communicate because of our physical capabilities, not because of our mental capabilities. So because we can communicate such delicate items, of course, we are going to be able to go into way more complex issues because we can do that. And obviously, the fact that we can store more also helps. But as far as I saw from that article, most of the time, animals are actually very intelligent. They can learn slow, which means kind of like how we learn something, and they can also learn ultra slow, which is kind of like how a human being learns a new language. It takes time, it takes repetition and stuff. So it's there's no difference. I think the capacities are the same. It's just certain things that are small differences between us. And I don't know. I just don't feel like any of it morally justifies what we do to them. But we're all there, so yeah.
No, but it still needs to be said because there's people in the audience that don't know. So it's still good to bring it up, for sure. Yeah, I do feel like people are still thinking animals are less. So yeah, it's good to bring up. Should I bring up another non-vegan?
Do it.
All right. Hey, Summer.
Hi.
Hey, are you over 18?
Yeah, I'm 19.
Right on. So animals are sentient. What morally justifies you using them?
Well, for me personally, I was just wondering again, I don't know if this is what you're talking about, but I have a service animal myself. I have been on a few panels, not with you guys, but with different people who have said that's not okay and that's unacceptable because you're using them. But I would say I would say for me at least, having a service dog personally would be morally justified because I'm showing them care. You know, they get to go out. You know, I show them love and they show me love back. I never raise my voice or anything to the dog, and you know, we're quite good at communicating with each other, especially since I can like put my hand up and tell the dog, you know, hey, what do you want? Do you want to go out for a walk? Do you want a treat? Do you want this food? Do you want that food? And we can like talk to each other. It's so lovely. So I would say that's one. I'd say that's one thing as well.
Would you say that you two have like more of a friendship now?
Yeah, I've also got myself a pet dog as well.
Oh.
And
Do you see
he
them
doesn't.
differently?
No. So one helps me more with like if I have a medical episode. But I treat them both the same. Like they both get the food. I ask both of them what food they want. I ask them both what they want to go, if they want to go out for a walk or not, because they've both been taught how to tell me what they want, you know, at the time.
Okay.
But you know, I would say I treat them both the same. Just one I take outside a bit more.
Okay. Well, so it is a little trickier with oh gosh, I'm slipping on what they're called. Assistant animals. What are they called again?
Yeah, assistant animals, service animals. Either
Service
one.
animals. Thank you. Oh my gosh, I don't know why that slipped my mind. So I'll explain to you why most vegans are going to just tell you that's immoral, and I'll tell you what I think about the situation. So most vegans are going to agree that you're still enslaving someone, and it's also important about where you got this individual. There is an argument for need, though, so I just want to be clear that I do recognize that. So did you go to a breeder for these dogs, or for even just the dog that helps you?
No, so I got it through the company that trained the dog.
Okay. Do they breed dogs there, or do they rescue dogs?
No, they find the dog. I don't
How do
know
they
where
find the
they get
dog?
him from. I personally I don't know. I'll be honest with you, I don't know. And then my pet dog is actually my parents.
Okay.
So I don't know where the dog's from either.
Okay.
But I would assume that the service dog was probably from a breeder because they tend to avoid, in general, getting service animals or assistant animals from, what's it called?
Like a shelter?
Yeah, from shelters because you don't know the trauma that they've gone through. And for that reason, because you're putting tens of thousands of dollars and it's so important for that person's health and safety that you want to make sure that the dog is in a right mindset to be taught to be a service animal.
So the issue is
Can I,
oh, please, Chip. Yes, jump in, please.
Yeah, sorry. So I actually have a little bit of knowledge on service animals here. And I would say that service animals, while yes, you do indeed treat them well, and a lot of the times they do have a life that is free of
let's call it harm or clear harm, right? Nobody's beating them. Everybody's treating them right because, as you said, they don't want any trauma with them or anything. I don't think that their interests are ever considered too much, right? I feel like, in fact, if there ever was a more enslaved animal than them, I don't know. I think like they are probably one of the more enslaved animals ever. And I understand your point of view that you need them, and I feel sorry that you're in that position. But if you think from their position, they were essentially, you're right that they were coming from a breeder. They were taken from their mothers as young to be educated or to be trained. Then one person takes care of them. Like you can register at least here to take care of them. You get instructions, and after they grow to a year or two, then they go to somebody like yourself, right? So they actually feel attachment to the first person that they get that trains them. Then they move on to somebody else and they help them, and they are trained in a way where their wants and their needs aren't as important as the person that they're taking care of. And I don't know, like I feel like, even a human being who takes care of another human being, we always tell them, hey, take some time for yourself when you need to. I feel like these animals, we cannot communicate that to them. And even if I'm sure that you would actually want to communicate that to them, sadly you cannot. And I think they're just in this position. So I think when it comes to service animals, I think if we had better alternatives, I think we should definitely take the better alternatives, because I just don't think it's a good life for them to have, regardless of how they're treated.
Yeah, I definitely get where you're coming from, and I do know what you mean when, especially a lot of people, service animals, they're not always treated the way that they should be treated. Especially since a lot of people who do use service animals might not have the full capacity because they are relying on the service animal. Maybe at first they were fine, but later in life, maybe a few years down the track, they're not able to look after the dog as well as they should have. Um, I would just say one thing with dogs, from what I've learned, a lot of dogs need stimuli and stuff from people or from other animals and stuff like that. So if you're maybe taking the dog out to do tricks in training, I know maybe some people might say that's enslaving them, but I personally think that the dog loves it. But please let me know if I misunderstood anything as well.
No, so let me clarify. I don't believe that the people who get service dogs are in any way responsible. I think this is actually a problem of a system rather than of a consumer. I don't think service dogs are bound to supply and demand like it is the case for animal agriculture. I think service dogs are more of a, I mean, I actually don't know enough about that. Maybe in certain countries it is. But as far as I understand, the service dogs, they're more of a systemic issue which we would need to tackle. But I would never blame you or any other person for the fact that they got a service dog when they need them. You're in a position where this is what the system offers you. I just think that we as humans have a bit of a responsibility, and we need to try better solutions and not just rely on these ones, because we need to morally consider also these animals. And I'm sure, by the way, that your service animal is one that you take care of, that they feel safe around you, and maybe they even have a good life. So that's all okay.
I appreciate you sharing that.
Can I add something on?
Yeah.
Oh, so I mean, like you were saying, Anna, different vegans have different opinions on the subject of service animals, and so I don't think that it matters what my stance is, but I think, Summer, that one thing that would be better to focus on is not necessarily whether or not disabled people should have service animals, because clearly some disabled people really rely on their service animals. But what we should focus on more is the things that those people can control. Like maybe they can't go fully vegan, maybe they need their service animal, but you can probably not buy leather. You can probably buy cruelty-free and vegan personal care items. You know, you can probably eat at least mostly vegan. And so I think that those are all things that make a huge difference that like would be better to focus on. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I know for me, just from your comment there, Hannah, for me personally, I do still eat meat. I acknowledge that that's something that hopefully in the future I am able to cut out more, especially with more of an education because of my specific health conditions. I don't buy leather, never have. I don't buy like fur or anything like that. And then I also don't have dairy products because I don't need dairy products, you know? I don't think people need dairy products to live healthy life. I would say I am actually hopefully going to be able to see a dietitian soon because I do know it's actually, I feel horrible, honestly, for eating meat sometimes because, you know, they're animals and they're, you know, they have lives, they think. And, you know, if you ever go to I don't know, a farm or jungle or wherever you see animals, you know, where they're free and happy and they actually connect with their owners, you can tell they really actually have feelings, you know, and they really care. You know, they have feelings, they have thoughts. I can just tell just by seeing animals myself, and because of that reason, I'm trying to cut it out as much as I can. But if you guys had any advice for me, because I'm trying to be able to get enough nutrients, protein, vitamin B12, in
Yeah.
smaller meals.
Yeah. So Summer, so I guess, I mean, the way, you know, I feel, I mean, within, or the Vegan Society's definition of veganism, it says to, you know, oppose and not support cruelty and exploitation of our fellow, or of sentient beings as far as practicable and possible. And so, you know, you having a service animal, to me, that would be part of the practicable part. Like that's something that you need for your specific disability. And, you know, I think there's a lot of issues, you know, when it comes to service animals and in terms of breeding, that kind of thing. But I understand that, you know, practicable is a very important thing because everyone is different and our needs are different. And as far as nutrients, I think talking with a dietitian is a wonderful, wonderful idea. And you can tell them specifically that you want to be vegan, you want to be plant-based, or as much, you know, plant-based as possible. And then they will help build a meal plan, a diet plan around that. So that's something that you can work with them on. Like they won't tell you, no, don't do that. You know, unless there's something very specific about your condition that, you know, but yeah, I mean,
I don't think for me it'd be too hard because my brother's vegetarian and my mom's vegan. So.
Oh yeah, so definitely. So you already have.
As long as my health would be fine, then it would, you know, it wouldn't be too much of an issue.
Yeah, so you already have a support system there of people who want to help you or can, you know, be there to help you.
I just saw something in the comments, and I was just actually wondering that as well. For if you have like, you know, companion animals, service animals, just pet animals, whatever, do you think that they should be fed a vegan diet or not?
I know that for my dogs, the dogs that I've had, they were on a plant-based diet. My cats won't eat plant-based food. That's just the way they are. And one of my cats has severe allergies, so he can only eat very specific things. So yeah. But
we also don't have great long-term research for cats being vegan, you know?
Either way, I feel like you should try, and the whole point is, especially with cats, right? As it mentioned, because they are obligate carnivores, maybe they're tread lightly. Consult even a veterinarian in that situation. But with dogs, dogs can definitely be plant-based. This shouldn't be an issue. And when we say plant-based, we don't mean you feed them your food plant-based, but rather a specially formulated plant-based meal, like, because most of the times people just feed them granules, like, what Vegan Stoner Lady is showing right now.
What's that on the screen?
Oh,
That
she's
is dog food, right? Vegan dog food.
she's showing the food.
Ah.
Yeah. So there are there are plant-based foods out there. And actually I have a friend who her dog is allergic to, I can't remember exactly the exact protein, but there's a specific protein in animal flesh that her dog's actually allergic to. And so which is really interesting.
Yeah, my dog's allergic to half the meat out there.
Oh, you said your dog's allergic to half the meat out there?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, dogs are omnivores.
So they're same as us, yeah? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, the dogs actually
Yeah.
have been shown to be, on the few studies that are out there, they're equally as healthy, if not considered slightly more healthy because they had fewer vet visits, but basically the same health.
Oh, that's really good to know. I never knew that.
Yeah, definitely try to look into these things too, because we're just TikTokers, right? So definitely make sure that we know what we're talking about, and you go look for yourself for sure. Evolution is a great brand to look up. Benevo is another great brand.
I'm definitely going to look that up as soon as I'm done with this.
Heck yeah.
Where can I watch Dairy is Scary?
Oh, YouTube. These are both
YouTube?
free. Yeah, they're both free on YouTube. Yeah.
I'll check that out. I really appreciate talking to you guys. You guys are so lovely.
I really appreciate you coming up, Summer. You actually brought up great questions, and I appreciate your patience too. It was fantastic having you up. Thank you.
Yeah, have a lovely rest of your day.
You as well, Summer. We'll see you next time. That was sweet.
Yeah, she was very sweet.
Yeah. I'm glad that she's going to look
Agree,
into the
she was
resources. Say again, Chip?
Yeah, she was nice.
I don't have anyone to request. If you guys want to come up, you got to be over 18. That's it. Are y'all vegan in here? There's no way. There's 34 people. There's got to be some non-vegans in here. Oh, that's all right, Hannah. If you want to come back, you're welcome to, but you don't have to if you don't want to. Go ahead, Chip.
So everybody here agrees that the only way to respect animals is to be vegan. If you disagree with that, maybe you want to have a conversation with us. Yeah, come here and have a conversation with us.
Are you guys able to invite people? I don't know if I'm able to do that from here. I don't know how to do that.
I can. Do you want me to invite somebody? Do you want me to invite?
Yeah.
Oh, well, I don't know who to invite. I thought maybe you wanted to have somebody specific.
Oh, no, just if you feel, I don't know if there's any, I don't have anyone specific. I was just going to start inviting one or two. Oh, there's someone. Hello.
Somebody. There you go.
Awesome. Thank you. Hey, All-American. Are you over 18? Hello?
Oh, sorry. I thought my mic was turned off. I apologize.
Oh, that's all good. Are you over 18?
Oh, yeah. I'm 57.
Right on. It's good to talk to adults. All right. So animals are sentient. What morally justifies you using them?
Well, I got guard dogs. I use them to protect me.
Okay.
I hunt deer because they love venison, so I feed them venison meat because I don't like store-bought dog food. I think it's not healthy.
Okay.
And venison too.
So do you understand that animals are sentient and can feel feelings like pain?
Absolutely. See, I'm an ally and also I eat meat. You're like, how in the heck can that possibly be?
Yeah.
Well, for one, I am so anti these farms where they put these animals in these cages where they can't even turn around and all. That is cruel. That is wrong. But so I agree with a lot of what y'all say. I really do. Like these big farms, that industrial farming. I'm so anti against that because that is
So you
filth.
don't consume dairy products.
No, I have my own milk cow, but
So what do you do? Why does the cow why does your milk cow produce milk? What happens to their babies?
well, it had a baby, and the baby was a female. So when the baby was able to be weaned off the dairy cow, it became a dairy cow also. And so because they're
What if
literally,
they were born a male?
well, then it's raised to be a meat cow.
Is that respectful towards the animals?
I really don't know. I'm an old 57-year-old battle hardened soldier, and I love a big old T-bone steak.
But I'm sure you do know, because if we did that to a human being, if we brought them into existence only to kill them because they were born the wrong sex, would that be okay? Would that be respectful towards them?
No, actually, that happens in India a lot to females. No, that's not cool.
Yeah, so then why would it be cool if we did it to those beings, the animals?
Well, a lot of people have superior complex. I don't. I've been in, a lot of people feel they're superior to animals. I'm not one of those people. But
So then why do you do this to them? It
well,
sounds to me like you do it to them because you feel superior to them.
no, I do it to them because I'm hungry and I like meat. But
But you
also,
can wait. But you like? Do you think that it's a good enough justification to kill somebody because you like the taste of their flesh?
I will tell you this: before I starve to death and there's no plants that I can forage, I will do what I have to do.
But you can
But
always
you
go
must
to a
understand.
supermarket. I'm assuming you do eat some plants and you do go to a supermarket to buy those plants, don't you?
No, I do my own foraging. I forage wild edibles because they don't have no pesticides, no weird science crap. And I mainly live off foraged food. And I grow a garden. But see, I have a big 100-acre garden. And down here in Florida, man has wiped out all the predators. So if we do not control the deer population, they will literally overpopulate and starve till they're unalive. So they have to be
But
managed.
wait a minute. Before we go into that, you acknowledge that you are still making a choice, right? You acknowledge that with you choosing to forage and only consume what you farm, it's still a conscious choice that you're making. And because you make this conscious choice, you choose to oppress other individuals strictly because they're born in a way where you don't deem them as worthy enough for you to not oppress them.
Well, the way I look at it is, how in the world are vegetarians going to eat if I let the deer eat all my farm? And not only that, I don't use pesticides, okay, because I know you've heard the conversation. Oh, if you're a vegan, think of all the bugs kill with pesticides. Well, unalived. I'm sorry, I'm new at this TikTok thing, but so I mean, there's every argument in the world, and you'll never conquer irrational personal rationality. That's a big problem that a lot of vegans have. That most people are just absolutely irrational. You'll never get through to them. Me, you'll never conquer. I work as a bouncer, so I'm telling you, you'll never conquer irrational personal rationality. Sometimes you got to put hands on them. But
But
that's
okay,
just
but like then explain to me why you make this choice. Do you think this is really the moral choice to make? Like I
well,
understand you're afraid of pesticides or whatever you are afraid of, but do you think that morally justifies the animals you bring to existence only to exploit and kill? Like, do you really think that's something moral to do?
well, the only one, like I said, I have a milk cow, and then when she perishes, I'm tired of milking that cow and all that. I'm just over it. And I'm not gonna let her get impregnated again. When she perishes, I'll feed her to the dogs. But
But wait a minute,
as
how long can a cow live? How long does a cow live
I
on your farm?
really don't know, man. This thing, I've had it around for quite some time now, and it's still producing milk and butter.
So,
But
so cows live up to 24, 25 years. And
I don't
how many cows do you have? Because if they don't produce milk continuously, you have to repeatedly impregnate them to produce milk.
know. I got it. When this cow stops producing milk, it is going to be dog food.
Okay, so you see, so essentially what you're saying, well, obviously you acknowledge that no animal body, as no human body, was made to be impregnated repeatedly over and over, because nature never created a being for you to have milk whenever you want to. The whole purpose of milk was to feed the youngling, and the fact that you repeatedly impregnate them and then kill them when you can no longer do that, do you not see the moral issue with that?
So the answer to that is, well, have you ever met a Mormon? They have baby after baby after baby. They don't unalive them, but So anyway,
But how do you
they
morally justify
continuously get pregnant
how
too.
how do
on
you
that
morally
lady's
justify the
body for sure.
But I'm
yeah,
not. I'm not letting this dang old cow get bred because I'm over it. I'm over it.
but how do you morally justify that? How is that moral to you to impregnate them repeatedly, and when you can no longer do that, to unalive them?
I just said I'm not going to allow it to get impregnated again, and then my dogs have to eat. And my dog, I know there is vegetarian dog food. I have one dog that absolutely will not eat it. I have tried. He will not eat it. He'll starve to death. That dog is just like, I think it's
But
because
don't pretend, wait a minute, don't pretend that you're doing that you're impregnating cows for your dogs.
I
You're
just said I'm
impregnating
not
cows for your
impregnating
taste
cows.
pleasure.
I've just said I'm not impregnating cows. That would be gross. But anyway, I'm not having.
Wait, how do your cows get pregnant then?
They don't. I got one milk cow given to me. I have nothing to do with that.
Oh, so somebody else impregnates them, so you pay for somebody to impregnate them.
No, somebody gave it to me, so it's actually free. And
So
I'm
if
a
somebody
redneck. We don't turn down nothing free.
listen, man, we're not looking here to look into we're not trying to be pedantic or look into the particularities of it. Do you see the moral issue of you owning a sentient being and using them for your preference, for your taste pleasure, or for whatever it is that you want? Because that's what you're doing, right? You're treating them like an object because you get benefit from it.
So what am I supposed to do with this cow? Just open the gate and turn it loose?
Well, first of all, you should not unalive them when you can no longer get them pregnant. If you want to take responsibility for the fact that you got them, I feel like at this point in time you should treat them like the individual that they are. They have preference. They don't have a preference to be unalive. They have a preference to live. They have a preference to be with their babies, and they definitely don't have a preference to be treated like an object. So I would
But
say
by
don't do any of
allowing
that.
it to breed, wouldn't that add to the problem? That's why I get dog rescues from the shelter because I'm so anti these people that breed all these dogs when there's so many sheltered dogs that is ridiculous and it should be illegal.
Can I have a question? Or I have a question. So you said that your cow gave birth, right? And that the baby was a female,
Well,
right?
actually, that's the way I assumed it happened. That's what I was told. I got it from my cousin. My cousin was like, "Look, dude, I got to get rid of this cow."
I'm confused. I'm confused because earlier in the conversation you said that your cow gave birth and that
Yes.
baby was a female, and then that baby then went on to be a dairy cow. You said
Yes.
that earlier.
Yeah, I got that from my cousin. He kept the baby to make it a dairy cow. Cause
Okay, so you gave the baby to your cousin.
no, my cousin kept the baby and gave me the mama cow.
Okay, so basically it sounds so your cousin's a dairy farmer, it sounds like.
No, we're just old rednecks down here in Florida. We like milk and butter and stuff like that.
Okay, so your cow, you said you are not going to impregnate your cow.
No,
Okay, so you're saying you're not going to impregnate her. So then does that mean that you will no longer consume anything from a cow?
no,
Why?
no, I didn't say that. Now
No,
I love
I'm asking. No, I'm asking that question. Why?
Yeah, I love a big steak. I ain't gonna lie about that. But honestly, I eat more
No,
vegetarian.
I'm asking you a question. Why? Why are you going to continue to consume dairy that even when your cow no longer produces milk? Why are you going to continue to consume dairy?
Well, that is, I don't know if I would or not because dang on milk's so expensive. I don't trust anything from the grocery store. Nothing. So I would be nervous about drinking that store-bought milk, to be honest with you. I really would.
What about cheese? What about butter?
No, because I don't know what's in it. I don't know what's in it.
So you're saying that from now on, you will no longer consume dairy?
When this cow expires.
And by expire, you mean when she no longer produces milk for the baby that was taken from her?
Yeah, when she knows, as long as produces milk, I could do it one or two ways. I could either, which I'm not going to do, I could turn my dogs loose and have them take it down and consume it, or I could do the humane thing and put it down and let them consume it.
So
Because
what you
my
also
dogs
could
will
do
not be
is
vegetables.
what you could also do is not take their life and allow her to live her life.
Well, my dogs, they got to eat too, you know, and when I buy dog food, there's meat in that.
Okay,
I feel
but
like you're dodging. Go
I
ahead,
know.
Amy.
Oh, so what we're trying to get to is, for example, would you eat your dog?
If I was on a stranded island and
No, not
starving.
stranded. Not stranded, just as you are right now.
No, I think it would be. I've never eaten dog, so I don't know what it tastes like. So no,
Yeah,
that's
but
not my.
is there something else that stops you from trying dog flesh or eating one of your dogs and just getting a new dog?
Well, actually, you know these countries that eating dog is normal. You know, dogs carry a virus that will make you
Right.
go blind.
What I'm asking you though is why don't you eat your dog and then get a new dog?
Because it takes a lot of time. My dogs are attack dogs. They're trained to attack on
It's
command.
okay,
They're
just
guardians.
train a new dog.
That is a lot of work and a lot of money.
What if your dog currently stops doing everything that you want them to do? Why don't you then butcher the dog and then get a new dog?
If the dog currently stopped doing what I wanted to do, yeah, I would definitely get rid of the dog.
No, but why don't you butcher them and then eat them?
Never thought of it that way. That's
Is
why I
it-
like coming on these lives. I'm new to
Would you
TikTok.
miss that dog?
Oh yeah, every dog that I lose, I get tattooed on me. You know, I
Okay.
get his name tattooed on me.
So you
I
do
love
have
dogs.
this bond with them, and they're all different, right?
Like I tell you what, I'll be honest with you. I've been in combat. I've been downrange and uprange. And to be honest with you, I'm not being a
Okay,
sarcastic.
I don't want to hear you say that you are okay with taking human life. I don't want to hear that. I'm talking
Not
about
saying
you
no,
and your
what I'm trying to
friend.
get to a point.
What I'm
to get
trying
to a
to
point
say is there's
what
a
I'm
reason.
trying to say is
No,
this
All
is-
American, I need you to listen for a second. There is something in your dogs that you appreciate and you respect. You recognize that each dog is different as you get them tattooed, you know, like a family member, you know? So you recognize that there's a personality there. I'm sure that you wouldn't want to eat your personal dog because it would be disrespectful to be eating their body because it's your friend, you know? We don't eat our family members when they pass because it's unusual and uncomfortable to violate their body even after they pass. We know they were a sentient being, you know? That's why we usually don't eat our friends. So what I'm trying to say is what you recognize in your friends is also in that dairy cow. Just because that dairy cow doesn't do the commands that you didn't even attempt to try to do training with this cow, right? You don't know the capacities of this cow, what their possibilities are. But they're also called grass puppies. Did you know that? That cow is just as sentient as your dogs. I don't know if you know you're muted.
Oh, I don't know how that happened. This is to make your point. What I was saying in combat, I have more remorse for a deer that I got to take than I do a combatant in combat. A man.
So what we're talking about, right, is that those animals are innocent and you don't need to use them. There is a way you can live without even taking the lives of the animals that are just walking around free in the forest. I understand you do quote conservation, excuse me, but you haven't even considered other options available to you for conservation, like looking into birth control, looking into supporting they have a better environment so they stay where they're at, like supporting their habitats. if we take away animal agriculture, that means we free up a bunch of land that we can rewild, and they can go populate that area.
If it wasn't for hunters and people like you, because and you're like, how are you gonna put us in the same group? But us hunters, we literally fight hard to save the natural land where the natural
No,
animals can live.
you hunt because it's fun. You hunt because you gain
No, I hunt for
from
food.
using
I
them.
hunt
You're
for
using
food.
someone's body in an excuse that they overpopulate, because I'll tell you why this is hypocritical. Humans are overpopulating. Humans spread disease. Humans are walking into roads and getting hit and causing accidents. Humans, right? We still don't go out and pew them because they're overpopulating. And it's only so now we look at other options available to us to help people mitigate the damage that's being caused, right? We don't jump to take life because we're going to benefit from taking from them.
Have you seen what NATO is doing? There are so many people.
Prepper, I don't want you to distract. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
What
But
am I
people
saying,
do
though?
take people out.
I'm
People
talking
do
to
take
you,
people out.
though. I'm talking to you and your actions. You are only in control of what you do. And right now,
Yeah, if
you're making the excuse that I
don't
want.
know.
Hold
I
on,
don't know how to give
Prepper. Look, we've been having a great conversation. Please hear me out, okay? You do sound like you care somewhat about the animal's experience, do you not?
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Wouldn't it, just a yes or no, would it be preferable to get everything you want without using animals? Would that not be a preferable world?
Yeah, in fantasy land, yes.
So if we could live without using animals, you agree that would be preferable?
Yes.
I'm telling you, that's the world we live in right now. And if you truly feel that way, you should go on the internet and type, how do I go vegan? Type in your city name, vegan. I guarantee, even around you, there is someone living a vegan lifestyle.
But I still cannot. I don't know how to make
So
these.
what is
female
it
deer
that's stopping
infertile.
you? What's stopping you from choosing to no longer want to see animals as objects, as resources? Instead, like they're all puppy dogs that deserve care.
I guess I'm just like old redneck, country boy. I hunt and I fish,
You can't
and
change? You're just stuck.
I enjoy that.
But can
I
you
enjoy
think for
hunting.
yourself? Are you able to think for yourself and weigh out what's right and wrong? Or do you just accept what society?
Hunting. I enjoy hunting because I have to keep them out of my
Prepper,
garden.
you're not answering me. Can you answer my question?
Okay, what do you want me to answer again? I'm sorry.
So why do you still want to use animals? Why do you still want to?
Well, I guess I've just been doing it my whole life, and I really don't know any different.
What if you were that dairy cow? What would you want to have happen?
Hey, I've had body piercings, if you know what I mean, uprange. Trying to.
Okay, but you're not thinking about it from the victim's perspective. You're thinking about a situation where you're giving consent. Can you imagine?
No, I didn't give nobody consent to body piercing
Put
me.
yourself in the position of this cow. Not only has she been raped and had her baby stolen from her, she's been used by you for, according to you, a very long time. Okay?
Yeah.
As someone who is oppressed, what do you think someone that's oppressed wants? Do you think they want to continue to be oppressed? Or would they prefer their oppressor stop using them and start caring about them morally? What would you want if you were the dairy cow?
Well, what I want and what is two different things.
I'm asking if you, I need you to follow, if you were in the position of the dairy cow, what would you want as the dairy cow?
I would want to get milk because it's very painful if you don't milk them.
That's not true. That's not true. What's happening is you're encouraging her to continue to produce milk if it really has been years. You have to do tactics in order for her to produce past 10 months. So you're purposely making her continue to produce milk for you, which is another exploitation of her body. So again, if someone was coming up to you and sucking the fluid out of your chest without asking your consent, would you rather they stop violating your autonomy, or would you just say, you know what, I think this is moral that they keep doing this to me?
It's all according, I reckon.
You would want it to stop?
It's all according.
Would you want it to stop? So you can't answer this, which is really telling. It's cowardly. Cowardly. You know, if you were in that pen being violated, you would want it to stop. And right now, you're demeaning the cow's ability to want to be free. You're demeaning them so that you feel better about your choices of what to do with their body without their consent for your pleasure and convenience.
If the cow was turned free, it would get unalived probably by a car.
No one said to set the cow free. No one said that.
So it seems to me, by the way, by listening on this whole conversation, it seems to me like because you started by saying you don't have this superiority complex over animals, but it seems to me like maybe you don't think that you do, but you act as if you do, right? There are certain animals you go in the forest and you kill them because you say you get food, but then when you were asked the question, what if you could live without doing this? You said you enjoy doing it. You with your dogs, you teach them to be violent, as you said, because it's for protection. I'm not sure that those dogs want to be taught that. I'm sure a lot of them would rather not be violent and would rather not be in fear or be always looking out. I'm sure they would rather they enjoy their life also. And I'm sure that all those farm animals would rather not be enclosed somewhere, used, be bred into existence to be used, killed when they can no longer be used. I mean, all of these are just, they're things that you would never do to a human being. And yet, when it comes to animals, you have no problem doing it to them simply because you can.
Respectfully, because I respect everything you said. That, and I can't read your whole name. I just see that.
That's okay.
I respect what you're saying, but when anytime you can hear the word "but," get ready for an excuse. My dogs love patrolling. My dogs love catching wild hogs that are tearing my whole dang farm up. That they are out of control. They love catching.
Okay, well, hold on, Pepper. Did you hear anything? Did you hear anything that? I'm sorry. Was it Chip?
Yeah, but he's assuming what my dogs think.
No. He's talking about you and what you think.
No, he said, "Do you think your dogs enjoy that?" Yes, they do.
All of the stuff that he said before that. I feel like you're focusing on just that one little thing, and you're not focusing on the bigger picture that's being said here.
Well, no, I'm a respecter of people, so I'm trying to be nice and cordial.
Yeah, but being nice and respecting someone are two different things, right? So by respecting someone, you actually listen to what they're saying, you hear what they're trying to tell you, and you take that in, and then you respond in a way that acknowledges everything that they just said.
Yeah, I understand what he's saying. I'm just telling him that my dogs enjoy the guard dog.
We get that, but do you think that all animals, do you think that our fellow animals enjoy being put into pens, that they enjoy having their lives taken? Do you think they enjoy being forcibly impregnated and then having their babies taken away so humans can take their milk? Do you think animals enjoy that?
No, I already said I was anti-big farm.
No, but you're still contributing to it. You might be anti-big farm, but that's something that you are still doing. You still are actively, you are up on a panel right now, talking, like this is a vegan panel where we are advocating for veganism, and you are up here justifying why it is that you won't go vegan. So you might be against. So you might be against the large industrial agriculture, animal agriculture. You might be against that, but you are actively.
That's why I got a milk cow. That is exactly why I got a milk cow.
You did not listen to a single thing I just said.
No, he's not listening.
No, I'm saying is the reason why I got a milk cow is so I wouldn't be purchasing milk from an
Pepper, do you remember when you said that you can't reason with unreasonable people?
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like that's kind of happening right now.
No, I'm trying to explain to you. Look, I will not buy milk from the store because
all American
industrial.
Prepper,
it is industrial.
Look.
That is cruel. The way they industrialize.
Oh my God! Can someone mute him?
They're very
mute him. We already know what you're going to say. Like, it's the same thing you've been saying. You haven't been listening to anyone or responding to anyone. Like, we understand why you were given a cow for their milk. I don't know. You keep saying it was given to me. Now you're saying you bought them. You're like, you're all over the place. That's literally not the point, and that's what we've been trying to explain this whole time, is that it doesn't matter if you're getting milk from someone else's cow or from your cow, right? You're still exploiting a sentient being when you do not have to. Like, her baby was taken from her. She's now isolated just so you can steal her milk from her.
Okay, I have a question. And
I'm not finished. And now you're talking about your dogs ripping out the throat of the cow or of wild pigs. Like, why don't you give other animals the same respect that you give your dogs? They're all the same. They all have the same feelings and preferences. Why don't you respect all animals instead of just your dogs?
These wild hogs are destroying everything down here in Florida. You don't understand. We are overrun.
Yeah, but All American, you pick and choose. When we ask you this question, you pick and choose one animal you dislike what they do. But we're not just talking about that one. I don't think that the deers that you hunt are harming you in any single way. I don't think that the
No.
cow that you use for milk is harming you in any single way. And I also, because I know that we want to move on from this, but okay, I'm not going to mention it. But at least these two animals, they're not harming you in any way. And even if
Yeah.
that hog, or as you call it, they come to your garden and try to eat, they only do that because they want to survive, just like you want to survive. So if you could, you don't have to kill them, sorry, unalive them. You can just try to deter them. Like the whole point of it is, respect everybody. I don't like. I just don't understand why you can't understand this idea that you respect your dogs. You want them to have a good life, but every other animal, you seem to think that they have a different purpose, and it's okay for you to use them for whatever purpose you have assigned to them. They never agreed to be that purpose. A deer never agreed to be your shooting target, yet they are for you. It's like
If
I don't
I
understand.
do not hunt these deer, if we do not hunt them, they will be overpopulated and they will all get unalive from not enough food. I don't know why vegans can't understand
So the
that.
thing
You
is,
have to manage.
Prepper, look, there are other options available to conservationists if that's really the case. We shouldn't be just jumping to pew-pewing someone because it's convenient and inexpensive. We could do the same thing to human populations, but we recognize that sentient beings are involved, so we need to take them morally into consideration. I'm telling you, we need to do the same thing for the deer. People that go hunt, people that are conservationists, most of them are not vegans. Well, definitely not hunters, but conservationists aren't vegans either. Most of them are not vegan. If they had the mindset of considering the animals morally, just like as we're speaking, they would have other tactics like birth control, right? Have you even considered that birth control exists to feed to wild deer or to pew pew to them or to, you can knock them out and give them something? Like, we have the tools available to mitigate these messes, but we're always jumping to the sport of pew pewing them because there's money to be made in the sport. There's you get a benefit as the oppressor. You get to steal someone's body. Do you see how all of this is not in the best interest of the animals that you claim to be defending?
Well, I don't know how to neuter or spade a deer for one thing.
Right. You don't need to do that. You can go into the woods and just take pictures or just be among them. You don't need to take their life. That's not your job. And if it does come down to conservation, there are other tactics that should be considered because someone's life is at stake. Someone's experience is at stake.
They have to be thinned out. And
Okay.
the state
American
of Florida,
Prepper, I think I'm done talking to you because
The state of
you can't take responsibility for your own actions. You have to deflect. It's very cowardly. You don't need to use animals. You choose to use animals because you want to and it benefits you. You're not considering the animals at all. You see them as resources for you to use. That is no different than someone who owned another human. You belittle your victim so that you feel righteous in your decisions to use their body for your pleasures. Does anybody have any last words for All American before I kick him?
I just want to say, I think I do think that you think you care, and that is good. I just think question a little bit what you've been told. I know you say they have to be unalived. I understand that you think that for the sake of conservation, they have to do that. But like if you look it up, do some research, maybe there are different solutions as we're proposing. And maybe even if there aren't different solutions, maybe people need to stop unaliving them so that we can find different solutions. Either way, it is not something that is right because as has been pointed out, humans are the most invasive species. Humans are the one who caused that imbalance in that ecosystem in the first place and in all other ecosystems. We would not advocate to go in any ecosystems to unalive humans because we respect their rights. I think we should give that respect to all animals, especially given that we are the ones who put them in that situation in the first place. So I'm just saying, if you actually care about animals, do a little bit of research. Maybe you'll find out that all these things that you were told are not actually the only solution and the only way to do things. And don't be afraid of going to a supermarket if you want to eat things. I'm a certified nutritionist. Nothing's going to happen. Pesticides, most of the pesticides are actually very well tested. You're not going to get anything bad in your food. There's no, like, if you have a problem with bad food, red meat is carcinogenic. You know, every time you eat red meat, your chances of colon cancer increases. Every time you eat white meat, if you eat above 200 grams, your chances of gastrointestinal cancer increases. So let's not, like, I would say animal products are considerably more dangerous than anything else you might get from a supermarket. So just look into it, man. If you actually care about animals, look into all of this. Don't just buy or trust everything everybody's telling you. Look into trusted sources, scientific sources, and do a bit of documentation. You have ChatGPT, you have Google, you have everything, and try to really challenge your own things. It will help you. That's all I'm saying.
If you can, go to Nutrition Facts, nutritionfacts.org. They make great videos breaking down studies. Like they show you the evidence of what makes something healthy. And they have the studies there too if you wanted to go follow that trail. But I like nutritionfacts.org because they break it down. It's scientifically backed diet that they're promoting on there. It's not even, it's just about health and, you know, what the average human does best on. So definitely go check that out, okay, Prepper? You can unmute for a second if you want, but we're going to move on.
Oh yeah, yeah, and you know what? I appreciate everything. I can't read that. I just see that. I appreciate everything you said. I appreciate y'all. And I'm 57 years old. I'm trying to learn. I mean, like I said, I'm against big farms and the way they cage them animals and all. That's
Right.
cruel as heck,
Well,
man.
so the thing that we all agreed on is if we don't need to use animals, that would be preferable. So remember that. You agreed with us that not using
Somebody
animals
needs to
is
get with the state of
preferable.
Florida and tell them start getting rid of these feral hogs because they're a non-native species and they're destroying our
Maybe
roads.
that starts with you. Maybe that starts with you.
Well, I've been doing it, but I can only my dogs can only
Maybe
take
you
so
need
many
to speak up for alternative methods because clearly hunting isn't working.
No, it's not. They're everywhere. They're a nuisance. No matter.
So maybe you, as a newbie vegan who's not going to use animals anymore, can speak up and say, hey, there's other options. We don't need to harm them. We need to mitigate the damage, maybe relocate. We have other tools that we can use. Maybe that's where you should go.
I can't even use these wild hogs to feed my dogs because pork is bad for a dog's pancreas.
All right, you move on, Prepper. I'm so tired of doing this. We're going in circles here. He keeps bringing up his dogs and the hogs.
That was exhausting
Very
to
exhausting.
I mean,
listen to. I mostly listened.
I
Yeah.
believe there was some genuineness to it. I believe that he thinks he cares. It's
Yeah.
kind of sad to me then because this is why I blame, like, even if he doesn't actually contribute to these industries, he's still a victim of
Yeah.
all of what these industries have sold to him and what everybody's been told, that we need to consume animal products, that we need to do this, that because all of this pesticides are bad BS is also coming from animal agriculture in order to deter people from plant-based diets and stuff. So I feel bad when I see people like that, because I know that these people would be excellent advocates because they actually care. It's just sad when they're in this position where they've been told one thing, to believe one thing over another, and I don't even know how if they can exit it, because the sad reality is, as we all know it, we live in a world where we live in our own bubbles of information. Even on ChatGPT, you go there, you want to find out the real information, but they'll just tell you what you want to hear. If you
Yeah.
Google it, you'll just see what you want to hear. If you go on a social media anywhere, you'll just see what you want to hear. So we do need to be challenged about our own views, and it's increasingly more difficult to do so. But yeah, whatever. I have some hope for him, but because we agreed at least on the fact that factory farming is bad. But he needs to question why that is bad and all that stuff. So yeah.
He did agree that it would be preferable to not use animals, and then he goes on to, it's basically his rights. Like, you have the opportunity to live that preferable life right now. If you agree, don't cause them harm. You should just look it up. Look up the information. I also wanted to ask him, what does he feed his dairy cow? Does he actually
Yeah, good
grow the
point.
cow's food? That means, if anything, if he stopped having a dairy cow, he would have room to grow human food. I
But he
doubt,
did say he had a big
yeah,
land, so
100 acres or
probably
something. Well, what I'm saying
yeah, so
is,
probably he
he
just
could,
lets them
he
feed
was
off of
saying that he
grass.
needs the cow to survive living out in the country or something, right? Isn't that what he was saying? I guess he was
Yeah,
saying he was going to no longer use the cow. I don't know what he's going to do after he, unfortunately, please don't harm that cow. That's what we were trying to get to. That cow wants
yeah,
to live no matter how old she is. She still wants to have her own experience continue. And if you can't provide a safe place for her to do that, I guarantee in Florida there are sanctuaries that will
there are.
gladly take her. So please consider her best interest when deciding anything, which is all that we're saying. Anyway.
And also, just one more thing. Him and his, I guess he said his cousin or his brother who like bought the cow, and then they they took like her baby for milk. They didn't even have to do that. He was saying that the reason they did it is because they don't trust what's in the grocery
Oh,
store.
right. Right,
Yeah,
yes.
I'm just saying, like, it's just crazy. Like, it costs way more to have a cow and feed her and do all this stuff. Like, wild.
That is wild, yeah. That means he even more easily can live a life without using animals. So, go do it. If you were in that cow's position, remember what you would want. I know you didn't answer it, but you know in your head what you would want. Well, let's see. I do have more guests. We're getting close to the 3-hour mark. I usually stop at 3 hours. Should we do one more, or should we call it here? I don't know, whatever.
I'm okay with one more if we say, like, let's set a time limit of like 10 minutes at the next one, so it
I'm
doesn't
down
go
with
too
that.
long.
Yeah, I'm down with that. I
Yeah.
usually don't like to go past even 15 minutes. I'm like, oh, this is getting too long, too many excuses and circles. Sometimes I get carried away though, so I'm sorry, guys. Okay, let's see. Let's bring up Weston.
And everybody subscribe, or I'm sorry, follow Vegan
Yeah,
Stoner Lady.
please follow all the
Follow her.
vegans on the panel. All of them. These are
Yeah, all
all
of us.
fantastic activists. Please. Well, if not, this is a guest. Everyone else, follow these vegans. Ciara, Foodie, Chip guy, Lori. Is this Freesia? Freesia, you went out, so I didn't see your icon. But this is Freesia. Please check them out. Ciara has like awesome products she shows. Freesia, well, they all make great activist posts too, but everyone's got their like unique niche So, Lori, remind me, it's like you do more like overseas stuff, right? And horses and, I don't know, I just feel like everyone's unique. I'm trying to call everyone's flavor out. Chip is on the street. I love it. Okay, Weston, thank you for being patient. Are you over 18? Oh, are you there, Weston? Hello, Weston. Okay, well that sucks. There was someone else, but they dropped down. Does somebody else want to come up? Be our last person to talk to today. Keep it short, like 10 minutes. You gotta be just over 18. Hey, Alex. Hey, are you over 18?
Hi, yeah, I'm over 18. I'm 27.
Okay. So animals are sentient. What morally justifies using them?
What about an esophagus disease that's an allergy? Would that defend or justify using animals?
Oh, an allergy to
An
what?
allergy for what? Yeah.
Like EO.
Oh, we can't hear you if you leave the app. Oops. We can't hear you,
Like
Alex.
I'm not going to say it right, sorry. Encephalitic encephalitis. Inflammation of the esophagus from an allergy, right? So that would be a justification of using animals that if I've tried to eat a vegetable,
You just said
it's
the
a
swelling
trigger
of
for
the
the
throat. You just said
yeah, so
swelling
it's a
of the throat.
trigger for my
Okay,
EOE
hold
to
on,
eat
hold on,
vegetables.
Alex. Okay, hold on a second. What does this have to do with using animals?
So I like to use meat because I haven't used an elimination diet to find out what I can and can't eat except for meat. And I choose not to eat vegetables because one vegetable caused an allergic reaction for
Wait
my
a minute.
EOE.
You don't eat any plants?
All I eat is meat.
Oh,
And that's my
brother. How old
justification
are
is
you?
that I have a disease called
How old are you?
EOE.
Google to find some disease.
How old are you,
I'm
Alex?
27 years old.
Oh man, you're gonna have heart issues, man. You're gonna die so young if you
What
continue
if I
this
would
way.
die from the allergic reaction just putting one vegetable in my mouth?
The,
That's
the
my
the thing about
justification.
the thing about what you're saying is that
Yeah,
not all vegetables are the same. So you claiming that any vegetable you eat will cause that is irrational, especially knowing that there's no known allergens in a lot of vegetables. So I feel like you're trying to find an excuse, but the
I
question where
really
we all
am.
started is, yeah, you really are trying to find an excuse for it, but maybe you shouldn't try to find an excuse because this isn't the point of it, right? We're trying to get you to critically think a bit. And the whole point of critically thinking is not that you start with the conclusion, but rather that you start with questioning. So we're starting, maybe you should question it. If you let me ask you this, Alex. If you can get all the nutrition that you need and be healthy on a plant-based diet, would you consider then adopting a plant-based diet and going vegan, which means respecting animals?
Why would I respect an animal when I can respect myself and get twice as much of the nutrient density in meat, where I would have to eat twice as much plants to
Alex,
get that same amount
Alex,
of macros? So,
Alex, I
right?
explained
Yep.
to you that you need a certain amount of nutrients, both macro and micronutrients. I'm a certified
Right, and
nutritionist,
a
by the way.
person like
I'd
me,
just like to insert it in a conversation, right? So let's
yeah,
say you need to eat a certain amount of calories per day, and that those calories will be split into into macros like
yeah,
protein,
200 grams of
carbs,
protein,
fat, all of
3,000
these.
calories. Say that.
Sure, whatever.
That's
200 grams
what
of
I
protein
need.
and 3,000. Brother, first of all, what you're saying, let me explain to you. 1 gram of protein has about 5 calories. That means if you want to eat 200 grams of protein, you can get that would already be 1,000 calories, right? So that would mean
Not
that
if I eat
30%
vegetables
of
though,
your
right?
30, well, actually, that would mean that 30% of your 30% of your calories would need to come from protein, and that is definitely doable on a plant-based diet. I've had
35%. I've had 40% of my calories coming from protein. So my question to you is the same. If you can reach all of these macros on your plant-based diet with everything that your body needs, every macro and micronutrients that it requires, would you consider adopting a plant-based diet and respecting animals by going vegan?
You know, I really appreciate that response because it was really thought out, and I would consider going vegan. And I have to confess, I actually have been vegan for about 11 years, and I just needed help making the argument that you made, and I really appreciate your time and energy making content and going live because I really feel like what you guys are doing is fighting for those without a voice. And I really appreciate your time and energy coming up to dispute my claim. I hope that I wasn't wasting too much of you guys' time. Thank you so much.
No, wait,
That
stay
was
up there.
so weird.
Oh, yeah, wait, what? Wait, so you're actually vegan?
Yeah, these are what people say to me. That's what
Okay.
people say to me. They
That's
say
fair.
I have a disease. I couldn't possibly get more than 30% of my daily caloric intake from eating protein, things like that. It's the weirdest thing, and you're absolutely right that a small amount of critical thinking skills applied to a situation like this shows that there are so many vegetables. If I'm allergic to one type of vegetable, that leaves thousands of other options for me to eat.
Yeah.
And like I could be allergic to nuts and still eat a healthy, well-balanced, plant-based diet. There's no excuse, and I really appreciate you guys
I want to ask you
solidifying
though.
that.
I want to ask you just because of this the style that you came in. Have you ever seen Mike Burgundy?
Mike
Burgundy.
No, I should look into it though.
Yeah, he does outreach on other things too, where he's like talking to people on here on TikTok. But he has a prank channel too, where he goes on as the opposite of what he advocates for and kind of pranks people. But this was also kind of interesting though, because it did test us, and I'm glad to also just see another vegan. So I'm also like, oh, a vegan, hello.
Yeah, I've been watching for a while. I just haven't came on because I haven't had any arguments, but these are the arguments that people leave in my comments, right? What I was saying to you, like some people are saying, I have I have an allergy with my esophagus that I can't eat vegetables. And like, well, my argument will be is maybe you could talk to a healthcare provider, find an elimination diet that will rule out which vegetables, because it's not all of them. It really couldn't be.
Right, exactly.
Yeah,
That
and
is great advice.
Yeah, no, exactly. I mean, there's lots of different things, lots of different elimination diets and allergy testing, that kind of thing for something like that. But I think the important question too, when people bring that kind of stuff up is, okay, well, if you didn't have this, or do you think that, everyone, like other people do have a moral, ethical obligation to go vegan? You know what I mean? Like, I feel like that's always, because like more often than not, they will say no. And it's like, so it's not really the fact that you have, this condition or illness or whatever. It's that you still see animals as resources and not someone to be respected. That's how I don't know. I feel like that's what happens.
That makes perfect sense. Absolutely. I really appreciate you putting it into words like that.
Yeah, it's like simple, so you don't always have to, because Chip obviously is a fountain of information. Freesia too. They have huge backgrounds in nutrition. Ciara,
I'm going to have to follow then.
Yes, you should follow all of them. These are all great activists. Does everybody have a YouTube? I know Chip has a great YouTube, so definitely follow his YouTube. Ciara, I think I found your YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
I mostly post on here. I don't post on YouTube about veganism. But I did want to say one thing real quick, Alex. I looked at your bio a few minutes ago, and I still, when we thought you were a meat eater. And I was going to say actually that your bio is super ironic when you're advocating for oppressing others, and your bio is, so has
Not that, yeah. No, you were right clocking my bio. Absolutely.
Yep.
I'm so glad that you were the last guest.
Yeah, I know exactly. This was the perfect last guest.
I appreciate the opportunity. Maybe I could come up again in the future, and we could debate some critical thinking skills. I really
would love
appreciate your
that.
time.
I
Thank you
dropped you a
all.
follow. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you, Alex. You're already following me, right?
Yeah, I just
I
gave the
can't
other
follow you
4 a
on here
follow.
though. Okay, cool.
I just gave the other 4 a follow, so
Perfect.
I'm gonna be trying to stay updated. And you know what? I'm gonna be trying to do more reposts. I've been trying to make more content about advocating for the ethical treatment of animals because I saw you guys doing it. I saw a vegan stoner lady doing it, and I said, I ought to be able to do that. That's
Heck yeah.
inspiring.
That's actually
So
why I
thank
do
you.
it. I'm a Joe Schmo, right? I'm just a regular
Yeah, me
person.
too.
Anybody can do it. Exactly.
Awesome. Well, I'm gonna let you guys get back to it. I really appreciate the support. Take care, guys.
Yeah, see you,
You all are
Alex.
doing great work.
We'll see you next time, maybe up on the panel.
Yeah. Keep clowning around, man.
Keep
Thank you.
clowning around. That was good. It just reminded me of Mike because Mike does that sometimes. I'm like, oh, you should see him. Maybe you guys could do a collab.
I remember that. What he said. He said he gets his iron from drinking deer
pee.
urine. Yeah.
You give it a tickle.
Oh
Go
my
up to the
God.
deer and tickle it. Yeah, it's pretty funny. It was pretty good. Yeah. Well, I think I'm going to call it there, guys. I do see the humane journey there, but we're going to call it here. I'm very tired. Or the human journey. I'm sorry, the human journey. We're just past 3 hours, and I'm cooked now. So, but I want everyone to go follow all the vegans on the panel right now. Also, if you do see vegans in the chat, please go follow them too. We're all putting out content, that is just the same message that animals are sentient, deserve their freedom just like you. So check out Ciara. Sorry, I brain fart on the full name because I was thinking of your plant foodie name. Ciara Vegan Foodie. Then we got Freesia, Lori Licht, that chip guy. Sorry, it's in reverse on my screen over here. Go check them out, okay? Go look them up. We need to get, if they're not, I'm pretty sure everyone except for Chip is up to the 1,000 mark. So we need to get Chip up to the 1,000 mark so he can go live. So everyone go follow Chip as well.
Chip, how do I find you on YouTube? Is it just that Chip guy?
You there, Chip? Oh.
Say that again. Sorry, it was frozen for me a little bit.
Oh, yeah. How do I find you on YouTube? Is it just that Chip guy or is there a different?
No, it's that tip guy. Yeah.
That Chip guy? Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I do live outreach on the street. I've been meaning to do it also on TikTok, but I like YouTube more than TikTok. So,
yeah.
But TikTok is nice for this. It's really nice. It's one of the best places to do this kind of stuff. I find it better than Discord for sure. But
yeah, the muting is huge, and being able to kick people, I feel like, is a big plus.
But can I ask, because you said you're cooked, can you, so if you're cooking, it's good. If you're cooked, it's bad. And if you cooked somebody, is bad?
What?
Yeah. You got it.
Okay,
if you say you're cooked, yes, she's saying she's tired,
Okay.
I worked out, but also if you say to someone else, you're cooked, it can be ooh, you're in trouble, you got it, or, you know what I mean?
I'm sorry, I didn't
Okay,
realize it was my slang. Yeah, I honestly don't even really say that I'm cooked. I usually say I'm bushed. Bushed, I'm
What?
tired. Bushed? You've never heard that? I'm bushed.
Is this Gen Z talk? Do I have to learn this?
I've never heard that.
You've
I
never
don't
heard
think
of
I've heard
bushed?
it either.
No.
I guess that's a Pacific Northwest thing. That's so funny. I'm gonna have to tell my partner that. That's too funny. It's kind of like calling, bubbly drinks, calling them soda or pop, right?
Oh, for sure, it's pop.
I honestly flip between them. I'll call it soda. Give me a soda. I'll take a pop. Actually, I haven't said pop in a long time, so probably I do say soda. Yeah, that's too funny. Well, Chip, I'll write down the slangs that I use and their translations. And then you should do the same for me, because I'm sure there's a bunch that I don't know.
I mean, the cooking one is especially confusing because I've heard it in so many ways said that you kind of, I guess if you're the victim of the cooking, it's bad. And if you're the perpetrator of cooking, it's good. So that's kind of how
Do
I
you
see it.
smell what I'm cooking? That's just that's a reference to The Rock.
Okay.
The
We're gonna have
body,
to
the
learn
rest
this
of it.
cooking thing.
I don't, you know, I
Okay.
just don't think there is a right or wrong way to use it. I think it's just the context of what's happening is what deems whatever it means. I don't know if there's actually like, I don't know. I've really never thought about it, how I use the word cooking in different. I'll have to put a thought to it. I haven't thought about that. Like,
Let me put it this way.
rhyme or
You
reason.
cooked and you ate that chip guy, and you cooked everyone that
Yes.
you cooked and ate.
I'm not gonna lie, I'm lost
You,
now.
I'm also lost. What? What's going on?
It's good though. It's good. It was good relief from the stress of
Made
everything
sense
too.
to me.
Yeah. Oh God, guys. All right. Well, I'm gonna call it there. I'll see you guys out there. If you're not following them, give them a follow. Thanks to all my mods in the chat. And I'll see you guys next time. I'll be live on Wednesday, 3 p.m. PDT. But otherwise, I'll see you either Friday or next Monday. Okay.
Love it.
Yeah, I'll see you
Thanks,
guys
Ciara.
later. Anybody have any last words you want to say before I end it? All right. Well, I'll see you guys later.
Sounds
All right, you guys have a great day.
Bye.